Hello, everybody, and welcome to Low Ink January 2023. I am a DRF, joined by Nox, and we're getting ready to get the show on the road.
Yeah, we are. Up first here, we have Spirit Inc. versus Dried Out. Now, I don't think either of us know too much about these teams, but we are going to be starting out here on Splat Zone Sturgeon.
Yeah, Spirit Inc. is one of those teams that, I think I've seen the name floated around a little bit. Dried Out is entirely new to me. But, that's just how it kind of goes, especially in low ink, when you have 160 teams to know here. There's going to be a lot of, new names that are going to try to make a name for themselves this weekend. And certainly these two teams are going to do just that in the first round of our Swiss stage.
Yeah, so we're going to be starting off here on Splat Zone Sturgeon, a map mode we've seen a ton of ever since Splatoon 2. What kind of weapons do you think we can expect to see here, DRF?
E-liter, crab.
You don't think there's going to be T-Tex coming out? You don't think with the new patch we're going to see some T-Tex?
No, you're absolutely right. T-Tex are definitely going to be something that we will see a lot of. One of the beauties of low ink, though, is that we do tend to get some less anticipated comps. So I do think that we will see at least one of those three come out. So there's going to be some teams that are trying to anticipate those crabs by bringing out the T-Tex. Some teams might not actually run a crab. Or an E-liter. So, definitely I think you'll see one of those three because every comp tends to have one of those, especially on something like Sturgeon Shipyard, where those three tend to be very strong. So anticipate one of those, then there'll be definitely a couple of wild cards out there as well.
Definitely a map where a weapon like Splatana Stamper could do pretty well with all the interesting areas to get behind using that Zipcaster to cause some chaos.
Exactly. This Zipcasters do pretty well. Stampers are going to be a great one. We could see just a surprise like Lunar as well, just because those walls are so easy to grab here and make it pretty nice and fun to fly around the map with. But let's take a look at these comps, Nox. What are you noticing?
What I'm seeing here is the Tetras coming out. Personally, I always love to see Tetras coming out. I think they're a lot of fun. Also, that C Junior's neat to see, especially running Stealth Jump. Not something that you often see on C Juniors. A really interesting weapon that will allow them to keep a really close eye on that enemy Tetra, and the Wave Breaker will definitely bother them quite a bit. And between the E-liter and that Tetra is going to be having a hard time.
So the Tetras are our wild card this time around, as we do see some pretty meta choices otherwise to get things going, as we now have a big clash here early on. 2 down on either side, make that a 3rd down on the side of Spirit Inc. And this is going to be Spirit Inc. that does actually hold control of this zone to start things off, but finally Dried Out going to get their first shot here.
Yeah, Dried Out starting to make a push in here, really taking advantage of the high mobility their comp has and the really, really intense pain output from it between that Junior and the Splash. I will say that the E-liter also will provide a lot of pressure, as we are hearing a crab come out and the Tetra getting in a great pick there.
Excellent work there by the Tetras, but not going to be able to stay alive long enough. And another just bloodbath battle there in the zone, but it's going to be Dried Out that continues to hold on here, approaching that 50 points remaining. Another pick there to shut things down. And now it looks like Dried Out with that double might be able to start locking things out for good here.
Yeah, Dried Out really getting a good hold going on here, taking advantage of those torpedoes and auto bombs to just try and stall out the enemy team. Junior doing a great job here maintaining space on this spitter, supporting their teammate in front of them. Managing to get the pick does go down to the crab, but there's only 13 ticks left on this block. And you're seeing the Tetras having a fun little duel back there, both taking the trade out there as the crab is on the zone, trying to keep it. They need to maintain this paint to get the KO, and it seems like they will be able to.
Wow, very quick there. After a very intense battle early on in this game, it's Dried Out that is able to lock out Spirit Inc. and hold on for a pretty close to a clean 100-0 knockout. I mean, Spirit Inc. got a few points there early on, but nothing super notable. Just a quick early grab of the zone that just really wasn't sustained, and Dried Out managed to ride that one out pretty smoothly.
Yeah, Dried Out not left out to dry there as they managed to hold on to that zone. Definitely really great gameplay out of there. And the junior was getting a lot of very interesting picks. Not something that we often see C juniors do, but there's definitely taking advantage of that torp. You can get in some very powerful locations and manage to lock him down.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, the E-leaders as well, and Tetra duels. So a couple of mirror matches there that that the dried out members respectively had won there. You know, the Tetras did a fantastic job of kind of just bobbing and weaving their way through the enemy lines to take control of that game. So ultimately, dried out going to be sitting pretty good here at with a quick 1-0 start as we set our sights on game number 2. Tower control, Hagglefish Market, Nox. What are our keys to victory here?
Keys on Hagglefish are really making sure that you maintain that upper right area as you're pushing up, because if they can get a drop on you from there, it's really, really hard to maintain through that first and second checkpoint, as the tower's just so vulnerable. And you also really want to have something that can easily threaten those areas. You want to have something like a blaster or a slosher or a machine, or of course a charger that can sit in mid and take care of it from a distance, which I would expect to probably see coming out again here, considering that both of them had an E-leader on the previous map, and it does so well on maps like Hagglefish.
Absolutely. I mean, those E-leaders setting up on the canopy, that's just I don't know if there's a better combination in this game of a weapon taking a very specific position on a map as here on Hagglefish Market. So definitely anticipate those E-leaders coming out, but it's going to be interesting to see, especially with the roofed high ground in that upper right corner, as you had mentioned. You know, what weapons are going to be coming out that will be able to contest the tower at that first checkpoint there. So definitely going to have to see what these teams bring out. Let's take a look at what that is.
Yeah, as we're getting into the game here, we are just seeing very similar comps coming out, although we are switching over to a vanilla junior instead of a C junior on the side of Dried Out. And on Spirit Inc., we are seeing a Splatano Wiper come out. Not something that we see all the time, but always something that's very welcome. It'll play a very skirmishy role, just like the Tetra they had previously. And that T-Tech coming out will be able to do such a great job of slowing down that tower.
Yeah, definitely a couple of interesting adjustments there. So I do like that adjustment to the wiper. I think if you can start to get that wiper pushed up just enough, it's going to cause a lot of havoc. But no, it's going to be big shot on the Tetras, so that is able to cause a lot of havoc there with a nice double. And Dried Out is already on their way to this first checkpoint. The grab take from Cruz. The pressure is on already, just 40 seconds in.
Yeah, E-leader managing to get a great shot there on that crab tank. E-leader doing what they can to lock down this area, moving back to stay alive here as they are keeping an eye on this tower, keeping an eye on everything, as Dried Out is still managing to get quite a push here, all the way to 41 already.
Wow, I mean, what an opening minute here from Dried Out. Finally 2-3 down on their side. So Spirit Inc. is going to get a reset here. Now they're going to try to start pushing up to deliver a taste of their own medicine. So Bungie already making a move forward, trying to shut down these Tetras. It's going to take a couple of members to try to shut them down, but it's going to be Spirit Inc. that loses 2 as the Tetras finally go down. But was it worth it for Spirit Inc.? No, probably not at this point, as they are not going to be able to contest this first checkpoint.
Yeah, Spirit Inc. doing everything they can to try and make a push there, but almost overextending themselves and forcing themselves into an awkward situation that they can't quite make it out of, as Dried Out is able to hold this mid area down really well, making a smart choice of not overextending here. E-leaders picking a bit of a fight with each other and backing off now. Peekney doing a smart choice there. Bungie watching out on this left side, securing it, making sure that there are no flanks that are going to take out their teammates as they're coming back in, and just making sure that they're able to keep everything nice and secure as this game really gets going.
Certainly, and you know, now we see Big Shots definitely looking to create some more chaos, but it's the E-leader that's going to shut this one down. Bubble being set up in mid to make it very difficult for Spirit Inc. to just approach this tower, even despite the numbers advantage there for a short bit. An excellent job by Dried Out to just force Spirit Inc. to second guess any sort of moves that they might be making here. And now with this Ink strike into 2 down, Spirit Inc. will get that opportunity just a little bit delayed from what they might have intended to.
Yeah, Spirit Inc. doing a really great job there of popping those specials at a good time to ensure that they're able to start moving forward. Probably going to be able to get through this checkpoint here as long as they play it carefully. And this Wiper is doing an incredible job just creating a distraction, throwing that hammer, able to get 2 down, which should enable this push to probably take lead even as the crab tank comes out. Oh no, they need to get back on tower for just 1 second to get it, and they manage to.
All right, that definitely, I think, gave everybody a scare for a moment as they hopped off the tower right when the game was tied. But now take a look at this. Spirit Inc. going on a roll themselves, able to approach that 3rd checkpoint. A very slight numbers advantage to work with, able to break through. Will they get the knockout? Yes, they will. Spirit Inc. responds in game number 2.
Yeah, Spirit Inc. doing a really great job of showing how powerful an explosive push can be, especially in a mode like TC, where you just can control so much of the space. It's essentially just a moving splat zone that you're just trying to make sure you control enough of.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it seemed like in the first half of that game, Dried Out was going to be able to just deliver the same exact type of push, the same type of game that we saw in game number 1. But Spirit Inc. coming up clutch to be able to stop that push before it got out of hand. And from there, they just needed to buy some time in order to allow themselves to get in those key positions, build up those specials, and finally were able to completely flip the script on Dried Out and get a knockout of their own.
Yeah, Spirit Inc. did a really great job making sure they had those specials ready at the times when they needed them most, and making sure not to take any unnecessary risks. Like, for example, taking that step off the tower for a second to just ensure they didn't go down before they were able to finish breaking through that checkpoint and continue moving forward. Those little things, those little thought processes make such a difference in a game like Splatoon.
Oh, absolutely. And, now we're going to be heading into a very decisive game number 3, Rainmaker Eeltail Alley. You definitely want to win your first set of the day because that's going to help you out in the tiebreakers in the long run, particularly with that opponent win percentage by playing some other winning teams early on. So very important matchup here for these 2 teams. But Nox, Rainmaker Eeltail Alley, this can go a number of different ways. What can we possibly anticipate here?
Yeah, so what we oftentimes see on this map is that first checkpoint is pretty easy to get through. It's not usually the big challenge of this map. It's getting any points beyond that, because there's that ramp on the right side that's such a fight to get up, and if you don't choose to go that path, you have to bank it through glass. And a lot of times you will see something come out with a vacuum to help you get through that glass area just to get those points. Of course, if you get a full wipeout, you can expect to see people trying to push for that KO, but a lot of the times, it's just people pushing to get as far as they can, to get as many points as they can, rather than trying to get that KO like we used to see a lot more of in Splatoon 2 without that checkpoint system.
All right. Thank you for that analysis there. Let's dive on in, taking a look at these comps, the double splash on both sides here in Rainmaker Eeltail Alley. Accompanying them on the side of Dried Out is that T-Tech and Tetris once again, but on Spirit Inc., it's an E-Leader and a Wiper, so a couple of small adjustments and a whole lot of crabs.
Absolutely. Crab is always the special that we're going to see a lot of. Even with the recent nerf that it had, it did not deeply hurt the special, although we have been seeing less of it, which is nice. As we are seeing this E-Leader here taking advantage of how strong it is on this map in the strong areas. It can hold down the vantage points it has, and you're really able to just see how much pressure they can put out as the splashes are starting to pop those crabs, as we are so used to seeing.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a crab rave here in Eeltail Alley, as a nice pick there is going to open things up for Dried Out to approach this first checkpoint. They're going to have to continue to accompany this Rainmaker, though, all the way there and finally able to break through. This is going to give Dried Out a nice early advantage if they could just grab this Rainmaker and attempt to get a few more points here.
Yeah, Dried Out gonna probably have to back off here. Like I said, that first checkpoint often falls pretty easily, but getting beyond that tends to be a bit more of a struggle, as there are so few places to try and get at it from, as the Rainmaker manages to reset, and it looks like we are getting ready to get things going again.
Oh, and a nice pick there from Big Shot to shut down that Wiper. Looking for the second pick, yes, but not going to be able to get the triple. And that's going to buy their team just a little bit of time there. But, you know, with that trade, nothing's really going to come of it. As now Yoshi's starting to move up here. And Spirit Inc. is looking to get control of this center map, which should open things up for them to possibly make a move. But no, it's going to be the Tri-Strike in response that will prevent them from picking up this Rainmaker.
Yeah, Tri-Strike is a really powerful special right now, really enables teams to lock down areas and secure things. As we are seeing Dried Out starting to be able to make another push here as they manage to get a 2-down situation. Tetra moving forward, clearing that space for their teammates, enabling them to be able to move in, just finish off picks that the Tetra started at. And the Tetra going through that glass area is something dualies are so good at, able to get to 27, not quite fully across that glass, but a pretty decent push as the Tetra's using that wave, that Reef Slider to try and get popped, not quite able to, and the T-Tech is going to be forced to back off here.
Oh, I loved that play there with the Reef Slider to try to make something happen, but unfortunately just didn't have the numbers to back it up. You know, that could have been a phenomenal play there had they managed to pop that Rainmaker barrier. But no, now it's going to be Spirit Inc. back in control here. A beautiful double by the Splash. Not going to be able to find a third, so the checkpoint will not fall for Spirit Inc. and Dried Out with a nice stop here before they could even reach that first checkpoint.
Yeah, Spirit Inc. doing a really great job there. That their Tetra player doing a really great job there of just distracting that crab to allow their teammate to try and get forward. I am a little surprised with how distracted the crab was that they didn't try and rotate over to that left side to get that checkpoint instead. But they probably had some plan in mind that we just don't know about.
Yeah, you know, it's always difficult to get into the minds of these players. You know, you try to look at it one way, and it's like, you know, this is definitely what they're going for. They do something entirely different. You're like, okay, maybe not. So, you know, all we can do is anticipate sometimes. But alas, Spirit Inc. once again trying to get a couple of picks from these very aggressive, dried out players, trying to shut down this push before they could reapproach that 27 remaining mark. And they certainly do not want to let them get any more points on the board, because 27 certainly can be a winning push on this map.
Yeah, 27 is a very solid push on this map. They managed to get partially across that glass, which is always so important to do. But they do have a 2-down situation as the Viper's trying to break in, not going to quite be able to, as we are seeing the leader trying to find a pick, going down to that Rainmaker shot. And it seems like right now, Dried Out's very in control of this game.
Yeah, they certainly are. With a minute to go, you know, they're in a very strong position here. They honestly could just kind of hold on to this Rainmaker, try to burn some time. With only 15 ticks of the Rainmaker left, they're going to go ahead and go down there. So now I think it's really crucial for Dried Out to maintain their numbers. But no, they're going to go 3 down. So Spirit Inc. will get a pretty free shot at the checkpoint here, but with this hesitation, that's actually going to slow things down significantly for them. I think they really should have just kind of rushed it a little bit more, and now this Rainmaker's in a slightly awkward position with only 15 seconds to go and just a splash on their side. Dried Out might just be able to hold them out here.
Yeah, it seems like Dried Out should be able to hold them out here. They just need to try and get paint up. They need to try and get in there, but it doesn't seem like they're even going to be able to get this pop, as Dried Out is keeping a close eye on that barrier, and that will be game 3 to Dried Out. Dried Out taking round 1 of Low Ink.
Wow, I mean, yeah, you know, what seemed to be a little bit of back and forth early on, eventually just turned into Dried Out getting a very solid grip on this match and just not letting Spirit Inc. do pretty much anything. I mean, they always had a pretty consistent numbers advantage, but even when Spirit Inc. managed to finally, you know, see themselves at an advantage, the one member that was up for Dried Out managed to just cause enough chaos and enough doubt that Spirit Inc. just wasn't able to confidently move up. And we saw that there, especially in that closing push, where they had the 3-down situation, able to possibly move up and just try to get that checkpoint, force it if you have to, but ultimately just end up getting shut down in mid before they could even get close to sniffing that checkpoint.
Yeah, they definitely were trying to move forward there, but they were just so worried about somebody lurking in that ink being going to be able to take them out that they gave the Tetras enough time to just take advantage of that great movement they have and fully move forward.
Well, it is going to be Dried Out taking the set 2-1, getting a nice early advantage. That's going to certainly help on the tiebreaker side of things as well, as you're going to get that opponent win percentage up early. So that's going to be something to watch out for between these two teams as they progress through the rest of these rounds of Swiss. So now with that, we are going to go ahead and I believe take a short break as we get geared up for round number 2 here at Low Ink. Stay tuned, you don't want to miss it.
Crescent Knight's side as they still hold on to the zone. You see Sally sharking as waiting for one of the players to drop down, curious to see what they can do, just eyeing down the machine and able to take them down, but not before going down by the knot from my outside.
That's still so frustrating. A staple, one of the best map modes in the game, but right now it is Crescent Knight. Oh, save! No, I'm going to be the one that splats you. You don't get off that easy. Making sure they die as they're falling to their death anyways. Crescent Knight able to establish.
Already pushing to 24, less than a minute into the game, and this being the third checkpoint too. So my opposite is needing to find a way to break in. They don't have much retail space to work with, as oh, look at this Comey Echo with the good look at that. How do you do that? Oh boy! First checkpoint, and now approaching the second checkpoint pretty much uncontested, as the player from Sanguine Seas who was closest just went down. The VAC was going to be trying to pop on the tower, but no splats are going to be recorded. And now my opposite is doing a really good job just not letting go of this tower.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to round 2 of Low Inc. In this set, we're going to have Bitterling versus Flying Octos. I'm Nox, and I am joined here by DRF.
Hello, everybody, and yes, Bitterling versus the Flying Octos. So Bitterling is definitely one of these up-and-coming teams full of a bunch of familiar faces that you might see on Twitch a lot. So definitely very excited to see them coming through here to Low Inc. I think this is probably their second or third time playing together in this tournament. So very excited to see them here on stream today. And the Flying Octos, a name that I definitely have seen coming up as well. Don't quite know the team as well, but certainly very, very excited to get to know a little bit more of them as we kind of start to set our sights towards game number 1, which will be Clamblets on Scorched Gorge, and I really like this map mode combo.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's really interesting. I think it encourages a lot of different weapons. It's definitely a map that sloshers really like, so I'd love to see a vanilla slosher coming out, especially with that new patch that just came out, buffing Ink Strike. Of course, Machine is still going to be good here, even though there was a bit of a nerf. I think Machine is still a very viable weapon.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, it definitely did get a pretty big hit there in the patch, but I think it's one of those weapons that can still excel here pretty well. You know, and as we kind of look towards our keys for victory here, it's definitely going to all stem from getting a lot of that early mid control. If you're able to establish yourself in mid early on, then that's when things are going to get a little bit easier, because you're going to definitely want to watch out for that snipe. If you're able to get a lot of that mid pressure, that's when you're going to be able to start to hopefully push that back line off of the snipe and open things up just a little bit to take the right hand side to the basket. You're not really going to see anybody going through the grates. That's just not how things roll here on Scorched Gorge. But once in a while, you may see somebody go for a bit of a sneaky play when you least expect it, and when you have a numbers advantage to work with to possibly make a big play there.
Yeah, for sure. And we are seeing a Hydra coming out here, not a weapon that we always see a ton of. We are seeing a Splatoon Wiper coming out, and we are seeing that Incept coming out with that tactical or buff that just happened. Interesting to see the Hydra coming out, always something that's fun. And of course, that Custom Junior going to apply a lot of pressure with those torps, and that Splatoon Wiper aiming to do a similar thing while also being a bit more of a skirmisher.
Yeah, with speaking of this Hydra, I do actually like this choice. I think the Booyah Bomb will do an excellent job when the rest of the team is starting to move up. The Booyah Bomb can kind of provide a little bit of extra support to open up that basket. The key thing for that Hydra, though, is just don't get within the E-Leader's range. If they can do that, then they are going to be looking pretty here. But early on, we do see Bitterling losing 3 of its members as the Flying Octos are already making a move towards this basket for the first score of the game.
Flying Octos, they're doing a great job of capitalizing on those picks that they got and making sure that they actually had the clams to move in with. A lot of times, especially in lower level play, we will see players just not think about grabbing the clams as they're getting the picks, and it can lead to pushes like this just being a single power clam and not much value. And while 62 isn't necessarily as deep as they might have wanted to go, it still is a very solid push.
Yeah, I mean, for an opening minute where they were just on a rush here, the E-Leader getting a nice pick there once again. Another one there, make that a double. Oh my goodness, the Flying Octos are just getting everything they want right now.
Yeah, Flying Octos just doing a great job locking down areas, controlling them. Crab coming out to try and pressure the Splatter Scope out of position. Seems like they're going to be able to as the Splatter Scope is forced to drop. Splash managing to get a trade there as we are seeing this Hydra taking advantage of that tactical to try and find some areas to take a peek from and try and get some pressure going as the vacuum comes out on the side of... as the Hydra goes down.
Yeah, if you're a Hydra in that situation, you're okay with that trade, because shooting straight into an ink vac is just never good news. So at least they were able to trade out there to relief some of that pressure that was being put on them. Flying Octos continue to do an excellent job of holding mid and getting a lot of crucial picks here. So any sort of pick that's going Bitterling's way right now is definitely very appreciated by the rest of the team.
Yeah, Flying Octos is doing a really great job of knowing that they don't need to rush. It's so important to make sure that you're playing through the game at your own pace and setting it and not giving in to the pace the other team wants you to play at. It's so easy to feed in, to fall for baits, and to overextend. And right now, Flying Octos is doing a really great job of not doing that.
slowly inching their way forward, able to pick off the end zap here. So that's going to be one of those crucial picks that they need to get another push going. But this wave breaker definitely making it just a little bit difficult, as it's now going to be Blue that gets shut down, as well as the C Junior. So here comes the next push from the Flying Octos. They have one power cram and a second one trying to come up from behind, but they're using the ink back at the moment, able to get the trade there. So this is another one and done push for the Flying Octos. That's going to allow them to get one more point on the board, but the Flying Octos really wish that they could have gotten that extra power cram in.
This push isn't quite done yet for the Flying Octos. They've been able to maintain this space really well, and it seems like they should be able to get back in pretty easily. That power clam just broke. They were trying to get back up there in time and not quite able to, as that is the Splash managing to get 2 down, and now going for the flank on the Hydra. The Hydra does manage to get them, but that is a 3-down situation for Bitterling, as the Flying Octos should be able to make a huge push in here, especially taking advantage of those trip strikes, but they don't quite have the clams at the ready.
Yeah, they don't. They need to pass them around first to build up that power clam. So they're going to just hold position for now, as all of Bitterling is back at the ready. But they do get the pick on the Splash, a very crucial pick to hopefully get things going for them once again, as Bitterling just continues to find themselves pretty staggered here. They haven't really had an opportunity to break out of their spawn, out of their basket quite yet. And with a minute to go, Flying Octos just continue to hold these crucial positions and are looking, just sitting kind of pretty here as we approach this last minute.
Yeah, Flying Octos is very falling into the camp right now. Best offense, best defense is a great offense, and they're pulling it off pretty well. But although it does seem like Bitterling is finally going to be able to get back into mid here, and with Clam Blitz, you can so easily take back a lead, even with just 30 seconds left to go. It's a very fast-paced mode.
Certainly, and Bitterling finally, with that crucial triple, is finding their way into mid. They just need to continue to paint, and more paint, just to try to offset the movement options for the Flying Octos. You don't want them flying around this map, as they have been all game long, but with 15 seconds to go, Bitterling find themselves 2 down.
Yeah, Flying Octos doing a great job there, if not panicking, not jumping, just dropping in and taking random fights. I'd say that as the Splash is very far out there, but it does not matter, as they were just able to win these 1v1. Just very mechanically skilled right now, as we are seeing Flying Octos knowing that they just need to maintain this mid area and stall it out. They don't need to be aggressive. They don't really need to take risks. They can just play patient and play smart.
And that's exactly what they're going to do to stall out this match just long enough. The Booyah Bomb coming in to give themselves a last chance at the basket, but it's not going to be in time, as the Flying Octos pull out a relatively dominant game number 1, although Bitterling did give themselves an opportunity there in the closing minute.
Yeah, Bitterling able to put up a bit more of a fight there at the end, as they finally were able to get a grasp on mid, finally managing to push in. And hopefully they've managed to figure out a bit more about how the Flying Octolings play so that they can adapt to it in the next game. Yeah,
I do think that this first game was more so a learning opportunity for Bitterling, as they're just trying to kind of feel out their opponents. I know that they are without Falco today, so I think a couple of roles are kind of having to shift a little bit. I mean, Luna's a very flexible player. Luna plays a lot of different weapons, so definitely Luna's going to try to have to fill whatever void they might have with the absence of Falco. So definitely going to be a little bit of learning opportunities early on to try to figure out, exactly who's going to need to play what sort of counters are they trying to pull out against these teams. And unfortunately, you really can't anticipate that until you've played them at least once.
Yeah, it definitely can take a minute to figure out how you want to adapt to the other team, to figure out what they're doing, because it definitely seems like Flying Octos is playing a very rush-down playstyle and relying on that charger to be a true anchor to allow them to get back into mid when they go down. Versus Bitterling, who seems to be playing a little more off each other, the Hydra able to move a little more fluidly with the team than most chargers typically can, especially if they switch to something like a heavy, since this is a smaller map, being Splat Zone's Inkblot. What are your thoughts on this map?
Splat Zone's Inkblot. This map mode and I do not get along quite well, but certainly, there's definitely a lot of opportunities here for any sort of weapons that like to work the ledges. playing from mid and looking up towards plat is going to be a great opportunity for a couple things like, maybe some carbon decos to come out or some sloshers, if either of these teams are able to bring those out. But the key thing here is that if you are able to get control of the zone in a couple of picks, you need to really start to rush that plat. If you can get onto their plat and start to contest their bats a little bit, that's when things are really going to start to turn into a lockout situation in your favor, because this is one of those map modes that is very lockout heavy.
Yeah, it is definitely a lockout heavy map, and one of the keys to that is making sure that you know when you need to back off to regain those specials, to regain that space control. It does seem like a communication error has occurred.
Oh boy.
But yeah, like I was saying, it's so important to make sure that you're holding down those spaces and remembering to back off when you need to make sure that you can hold control rather than sacrificing it. Sometimes you have to let go of the zone to make sure that you can win in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. And that can be a struggle for teams at times, is to kind of give up the short-term gain in order to set yourself up for a much better long-term gain. Because if you sometimes force yourself to hold on to the zone, that's when your team could start to stagger more. And as a result, you're going to lose the zone anyways. Now you're just going to lose it for a much longer period of time. So you really need to pick and choose your battles, especially on Splatzone's Inkblot Art Academy.
Yeah, the way Inkblot can just spiral out of control is always very impressive.
Definitely, I think impressive is an understatement. Sometimes the spirals that you get on this are just... They are absolutely insane. Like, this game realistically could be over in a minute and a half. That's how much this can really spiral at times. So you just don't want to make any sort of major early mistakes. Just continue to be very careful of the numbers that are up on your team, because if you just don't want to allow the team to get the opposite team to get a solid grip in that opening minute, because like we said, it's a lockout heavy map. It's gonna be so difficult to have to break through again.
It's also a map where I've seen many times a team get a push to like 10 and the other team managed to get back into that zone, hold it down, and manage to get a knockout right after it. It's a map that you can never truly feel secure with any lead, especially in zones, as it's such a retake heavy map.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, because I always feel like it goes one of those two directions. It's either the team with the opening push ends up ultimately just knocking it out. It just maybe, there's a couple of contests to neutralize the zone, but they're ultimately going to knock it out. Or they lose control of the zone with 10 ticks left on the scoreboard, because they start to get a little bit antsy. They start pushing up a little more, taking bigger risks when you don't necessarily need to, and the other team's able to flip the script, get control of the zone, and ride that out to a knockout of their own, just off of a couple of picks, and then they suddenly are now in a position to lock out the other team. So you're absolutely right. It's really one of those two directions is how this map mode tends to go.
Yeah, I do wonder what weapons we're going to be see coming out here. I do expect to see that Charger staying, although we might see a switch to E-Leader, considering that I don't believe Vacuum does quite as much for you in zones as it does in a mode like Clam Blitz, especially compared to Scorchforge Clam Blitz, where there's so many just narrow angles that it can be so useful to help you get through on.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you on that one. The ink vac just doesn't quite excel here in Splatzone's Inkblot. So that's probably just not... It will probably be a shift to the E-Leader, where on the side of Bitterling, I'm pretty sure blue is true to the Hydra, so we'll probably see that making a return. Although I know Luna can definitely play some Tri-String as well, so they could possibly have a bit of a shift in the backline if that's something that they might choose to do.
Yeah, I would be interested in seeing some Dynamos coming out, especially since they were running that NSAP, and Dynamo with the new buff does seem to be way more viable than it previously was, and they seem to like the idea of having that tactical alert, especially in a mode like Zones, where you are just... It can be a very retake style of gaming, where you let the zone go just to make sure you can get it back as quickly as possible, which Tactical Alert definitely enables very easily.
Absolutely. And with that said, we are ready to go once again on game number 2, Splat Zone's Inkblot Art Academy. Nox, let's take a look at what these teams are bringing out for us.
Yeah, it does seem like we are keeping that Hydra. We are seeing that Tri-Slosher coming out, going to be able to pressure those ledges really well. And that 52 gal is going to be able to keep a ton of pressure on that vanilla charger. Not something I was expecting to see stick around for this, but we are. And that Splatana Wiper staying the same too, which will be able to keep a lot of pressure on that Hydra, able to just get kind of wherever they want to go in a similar way to Tetris.
You know, I forget that Luna does have that Tri-Slosher in her arsenal there. So very happy to see that. But very early on, though, it's going to be the Flying Octos playing in a similar fashion to game number 1, getting a couple of early picks in the opening 30 seconds to get control of the objective. And they are putting some major points on the board already. Look at them all the way up in their plats. They are ready to lock this one out less than a minute in.
Yeah, Flying Octo's doing an incredible job of knowing where they need to be and knowing exactly how to shut down, exactly where Bitterling is going to want to push. We do see Luna trying to go for that flank there, but it does seem like the Charger has called that out, and they are being forced into this very awkward position where they just can't find a way forward. Being forced to try and pop that Booyah Bomb, but not able to get it out.
Oh my goodness, the Flying Octos, I mean, making a statement here in game number 2. That's 3 down once again. Blue's the last person standing, and there is not enough time on this clock to get back into the zone. Another 2 down, and just like that, this game is over. Wow.
Yeah, Flying Octolings showing just how aggressive they can be there, and their Charger doing a great job of backing them up and allowing them jumps back into mid. Although I don't quite know if I saw many of them go down enough to really need those jumps.
Oh man, I mean, they did lose 2 right at the end there, but with the remaining members, they were able to pick off 3 from Bitterling and just did not give them any opportunity there. I mean, Flying Octos know exactly what they need to do against this team and have executed it perfectly here. You know, I mean, they definitely got the assist of just the makeup of Splat Zone's Inkblot being a very lockout friendly map, and I mean, executed that, you know, pulled out the blueprint and managed to pull it off perfectly.
Yeah, they did an incredible job of just using their specials at the right time and just using mechanical skill to take those 1v1s and win them. That can make such a difference, especially in tournaments like Low Ink, where team play is obviously still very important, but players are definitely still learning more mechanics, still getting more used to exactly how they need to play to get that groove going.
Oh, yeah, most certainly. So, I mean, now Bitterling, even though that they've lost the set at this point, an opportunity here still to try to improve your standing with the tiebreakers. With tower control, Sturgeon Shipyard. So this one's another one of those that can definitely really snowball, especially with how aggressive the Flying Octos have been playing. So you're gonna have to be very careful if you're a Bitterling to just watch out for anybody that starts to overextend a little bit early on. You have to preserve your life and get ready to pick off those players. You can't extend too far out yourselves because you know that hasn't worked and it's not going to work this time around either. So if you need to go ahead and give up that first checkpoint, by all means, just let them have it, but you need to get those players from Flying Octos that will undoubtedly start moving up ahead of that tower.
Yeah, I will say that Splatana Wiper that they've been running does allow them to just kind of brute force openings a little bit. They don't need to be quite as careful when they have that option of a Splatana that's running all that QR and just able to stealth jump back in all the time. As we are seeing Luna on that tri-stringer like you were talking about earlier, and the Vanilla Junior coming out, and now we're seeing the Zap on the side, on the other side, which is not something we had previously seen, but should allow them to play that little bit more aggressively like they've already been doing.
And I mean, just look at this. Look at this. Like, my goodness, you knew it was going to come out there. The flank less than 15 seconds into this game, but it looks like Bitterling was a lot more ready for it this time. And that's exactly what I said they needed to do. You know, the Flying Octos from these first 2 games have been very aggressive in their opening minute, and they tend to overextend. Now you just need to continue to punish that. And Bitterling is executing perfectly here in this opening minute to break through that first checkpoint relatively uncontested.
Yeah, Bitterling doing a great job there. Now the junior's going to finally have to back off as they pushed all the way to 51. Splatoon Wiper painting up this mid area, able to just try and keep this map control going, and now going to be able to move in kind of as fast as they want, taking full advantage of that tactical to really enable that rushdown playstyle they've been liking so much throughout these past few games.
And that killer whale there, able to pick off one. So Bitterling doing a much better job here. There's that, the player that's pushing beyond the tower, able to pick them off. And now that's going to give them an opportunity to get back into mid with 2 down in their favor. But, I mean, Flying Octos continue to just go with this ultra aggressive play style. And, they're going to hope that at some point they're going to get a nice pick from behind Bitterling's lines, and that's going to just allow them to tumble this tower. And there's the delayed wipe, exactly what Flying Octos were waiting for.
Yeah, Flying Octos should be able to make a huge push off of this, especially with that tactic cooler coming out, going to enable them to really keep this push going, and Tri-Strike at the ready to help them break through that first checkpoint if they need it. As the Tri-Stringer goes down to, I believe, the Charger there. 52 Gal looking to get this killer whale out, able to, but not going to be able to really focus it on the tower too much as they lose lead there.
Oh man, Flying Octos with a great push, and this push actually is not over yet as they are pushing this tower just a few inches further, all the way to 37 remaining. I mean, they got a lot more out of that than they probably should have after losing a couple members there. So they will now hold on to this lead, but it's still a very close contest here as both of these teams still have that second checkpoint to try to clear. But at this point, the Flying Octos are really getting back into the groove of what's worked for them in these previous 2 games, and now they're starting to see the payout for this.
Yeah, Flying Octos doing a great job there of knowing when to back off for a second, regroup, make sure everybody can get back in, get those jumps, and the Charger doing a great job setting up on that spinner to be able to really force that Tri-Stringer out of position, allowing them to more easily break through this checkpoint. Vacuum coming out to allow them to just continue moving forward. Just a few points left to go, and that is going to be game to the Flying Octos.
It was only a matter of time before the Flying Octos managed to get back into the groove that was so successful in Game 1 and Game 2. But a lot of credit to Bitterling. This sort of set here was just them consistently learning and trying to make some adjustments to the Flying Octos' very aggressive play style. And we saw that they were making a lot better adjustments here in game number 3. They knew that flank was coming early on, managed to punish that, but ultimately just were not able to convert the defense into a strong enough offense to give themselves, that big enough lead, and they couldn't quite maintain that pressure as Flying Octos, took them a little bit this time around, but found their way to behind enemy lines and just completely overwhelmed Bitterling to force the knockout.
Yeah, they were playing a really aggressive way, and it worked out very well for them. Round 2 of Low Ink going to the Flying Octos. Something to keep in mind for everybody coming up, Squids on Ice is coming up. Squids on Ice is in Northeast Florida, Southern Georgia. It's a local happening on February 18th in Jacksonville, Florida. It is a single-day event. Doors open at 6 p.m. for socializing, and the Splatoon event starts at 7. Tickets are on sale now. Pizzas, drinks, and other food will be provided. Come support your local Splatoon community and meet some gamers. For more details or questions, join the Squids on Ice Discord server. Tickets on sale now. And make sure you guys come back for round 3 of Low Ink in just a little bit.
Gonna pick up Gumball. That is a very good pick there. Chris just trying to keep Pain up here. Knows that there's a lot of range in the way. Azula here as well, just trying to help out Chris as the best of possible. Able to get Sparks on the one. And there's lots of picks going down here. We're going. Oh, there's the collat. There's the collat that was going to happen on leader in place. They do have the mind to control middle. But right now, 1 for 1. Oh, they got the pick on the Ballestra. That's an early 3 down, and it's just the Flingza and 1 left alive here. They're looking for Gumball, trying to get it, but Gumball gets 1. Can Gumball get the second? Gumball's going wild here. To help poke with and get the breaker out and just kind of secure some of the top areas. We see Mech with the Nautilus just kind of going around here, but 2 immediately already going down. 3 already going down for VC, and this happened in the start of the last game. Mech able to actually stop it and get 2.
But they're struggling to find an opportunity to quit in those clams. And do now the last one trying to stay looking for it. And they're not going to find it. Nightmare Nami off of this respawn, looking for any chance. So close and not going to find it. That's the basket closed, and you're over.
Bro, what? Wow. Gumball is making moves here. I'm not sure. Obviously, unfortunately, in this game, we can't see this guy's KA, but at the end of the day, it's got to be high this round. Obviously, we still got a minute for it to go here, but
Welcome back, everybody, to Low Ink January 2023. I am DRF, once again joined by Nox, and we have another fantastic matchup for you all to bring in round number 3 here. Crystal Coral versus Ink Black, and I am so excited to see this matchup because Ink Black is a collegiate team. You know, always love to shout out these collegiate teams. Ink Black coming from Virginia Commonwealth. So shout out to them. But this is going to be a pretty exciting matchup as both these teams are currently sitting at 1-1.
Yeah, always great when we start seeing, as we get further into these rounds of Swiss, teams that are going to have closer and closer games, as that is how Swiss is designed to enable tournaments to go. The closer you are in regards to set play with the other team you're against, the more likely it is that there will be a fun, close set to watch. So hopefully we can get an exciting game 3 out of this.
Oh, definitely. I am very excited to see these two teams face off, particularly as we look towards game number 1, which will be Rainmaker on Undertow Spillway. And Nox, I don't know about you, but this is a map mode that I think has grown on me as well as a number of other people in the community.
It's definitely still not one of my favorites, but it's a solid map mode. It definitely allows for a lot of varied weapons to be used. It's very balanced. And the different paths do make it interesting, as oftentimes I'll see teams go to the right checkpoint first and then rotate over to left in order to try and create a more sustainable push if the enemy team gets a full wipe, knowing that they can create something that might last a little longer if they set up over on that left side after breaking that first checkpoint.
That's actually pretty interesting because at least recently I've seen a lot of teams actually try to go for that left checkpoint. So, you know, a lot of varied strategy here. Indeed, as you know, I mean, to take it to that right checkpoint, it's a lot more direct, but it is infinitely more risky. Whereas that left path just tends to be a little bit safer, and the left path does provide you with a few more options too post checkpoint, where you can either take it across that glass or go around the ledge there. You know, just to give yourself a little bit of added protection, but of course that adds a lot of mileage to where you have to carry that Rainmaker.
Yeah, it does, and that extra mileage can definitely be a hindrance at times, and we are seeing E-leaders coming out from both sides. We are seeing a V-Shot and a T-Tech coming out from Ink Black, and we are seeing a Zap and Tetra coming out from the other side here, and it'll be interesting to see how this goes. The Tetra taking advantage of that high mobility.
Mini setting themselves up early here with that E-leader, trying to find a couple of picks to open things up for their teammates, but they're going to go ahead and back off here. I guess they just don't want to be contested by this other E-leader, so trying to find some better coverage there. Can't quite blame them, as with a lot of this map control early on, despite only having a pick here and there, Ink Black is going to opt to pick up this Rainmaker and start swinging it to the left to hopefully make some progress on that first checkpoint, but no, not going to be able to get many points on the board there, as we find both teams down 2 members apiece.
Yeah, we are seeing members of Ink Black managing to jump back in here. Crystal Coral kind of forced on the back foot, looking for spaces to safely get in, but not quite sure where the other team is, having to take it a little bit more slowly than they'd probably like to. As they are starting to get some specials online, Tetra having that Reef Slider ready. Looks like the Zap is also close to that Tacticaler, which should allow for them to make a pretty quick push if they manage to get this pop.
Yeah, and you know, it looks like they are going to do that, but of course, as I say that, the Crab ends up coming out here to contest the Rainmaker barrier. But alas, I mean, take a look at Toto Star, though, trying to set up a bit of a flank here, not going to be able to surprise the enemy team as they predicted, but their teammate's going to come in to try to support them, as it looks like both sides are going to respectively pull away, but no, ultimately it's the Tetras that go down, and now with this one-person advantage, it looks like Ink Black is going to pick up this Rainmaker and try to force their way up to this checkpoint, but not going to get quite there yet, as they lose 3 of their own. This push is effectively done.
Yeah, we are seeing Crystal Coral now taking advantage of these openings they've created by stopping Ink Black's push, and now going to be able to move forward, taking advantage of that Crab Tank. Tetra coming out, using that Reef Slider to try and force some open space, taking advantage of its now slightly longer safety period right after it pops. But it is just the Rainmaker left up here for Crystal Coral, as they are being forced to just kind of try and get as many points on the board as they can. Not going to be able to get lead, though.
Yeah, that's a delayed wipe there, as Ink Black with a nice defensive stop hoping to convert to offense very quickly as they pick up this Rainmaker, bring it back to this left-hand side, and they're really eager to finally break through that first checkpoint. All specials online, so they're going to go ahead and start letting them go, letting them fly, and opening up some space here to hopefully, push away some of these members, maybe get a couple of picks as well. And there's those 2 picks that they were looking for. Now trying to push towards this first checkpoint, but no, it's going to be Tetris that are going to contest this, and the Rainmaker gets shut down. So Ink Black, third time is not the charm here. They're still looking for that first checkpoint.
Yeah, Tetris have been doing a really great job of knowing that they can take kind of inconsequential deaths as long as it means that they're stalling things out a decent bit. Tetra's able to do such a great job of that, taking advantage of that high mobility QR and stealth jump. Just able to jump in, get information for their team, weaken people up, and then immediately respawn, essentially. There are times as a Tetra where you'd almost rather not die, just make sure you get that, rather not get a pick, just make sure you get that QR off instead.
Yeah, it's a weird, sort of paradox thinking there, but it's absolutely true. Sometimes as a Tetra, you're not really sad when you go down and not get 8 picks. You're going to come right back in and just keep up the pressure. And that's exactly what Tetras do so well. As we now see Crystal Coral picking up this Rainmaker, they're going to go ahead and find a lead and the checkpoint. So that's going to be a significant advantage for them now as they're looking to pop this Rainmaker barrier and once again start pushing it forward, but that's going to be a wipeout. They do get a few more points on top of the checkpoint, so that could work out for them. Should Ink Black get something going here and break through the checkpoint, now they're going to need to go a little bit further beyond that. They can't just pick up this Rainmaker. They need to make a solid push as well.
Yeah, Zap going down on the side of Crystal Coral, which will weaken their defense quite a bit, as the Tetra is likely to just try and get in, try and slow everything down. But the Crab is coming out, going to be able to keep an eye on that Rainmaker, even with that triple strike coming out on the side of Ink Black. Toto Star here trying to just find some space to work with Novaden. Looking to get the pop here, not quite going to be able to, but the Tetra's Reslider able to really stall that out. Brilliant move from the Tetra down there to give their teammates time to respawn and just keep it going. And since they didn't manage to get a pick, that will be them respawning instantly. But that is 2 down thanks to a great Inkzuka shot. They just need to get 8 points on the board here. And Crystal Coral has to really try and hold on to this as they have that checkpoint, and that is going to be lead to Ink Black, and that is likely going to be the game.
Oh, what a beautiful play there by Wyatt to with the Trizuka there to just get a couple of crucial picks and continue to hold their own there. As we saw a couple players coming from the rail, able to help clean that up as well. And the Rainmaker played that very smart, push forward, grab that lead, and then just pull right back because you don't need to get anything else beyond that with just a couple of seconds left on the clock. Ink Black with a great execution there to close out game 1.
Yeah, Ink Black just knowing to wait for their opportunity, knowing to keep an eye out for when people were a little too grouped up there with that Inkzuka, able to take out 2 and just cleanly move through that checkpoint and get the few points they needed, and have the sense of mind to take those few steps back right after they got the points they needed to just make sure they stayed alive and prevent any chance of Crystal Coral from getting another push.
Oh, wow. I mean, yeah, very great effort there. So Ink Black, it took them a little while to break through that first checkpoint, but they finally got there and managed to execute beautifully. As we now are going to shift our focus towards game number 2, which will be Flamblitz on Hagglefish Market. And this is one of those bad modes that, I think even I'm still trying to figure out here exactly, what is the optimal way to play this, because there's many different ways that you could try to approach this basket, and it could be very difficult at times.
Yeah, it definitely can be one of those map modes that has some challenges to it. It is a map mode where definitely Triple Strike will find a lot of great use to help you get in. Crab always helpful to keep those sight lines open, keep you able to move forward. And oftentimes you'll see a big bubbler coming out on this map just to help you keep under basket just a little bit longer and provide any jumps in that you might need.
Yeah, definitely. And, just so many different fronts that you can take here, and coordinating those specials are going to be absolutely key for any team to get a great push going. I mean, you got to have all the specials online, you got to have everybody in position, 3 different ways to really approach this basket: up the ramp, up the canopy, and the very long flank all the way up that left side. So if you can get 3 people in 3 different positions and a bunch of specials online. That's really going to allow you to open things up and get a very solid push going. But, you know, getting into those key positions, that's going to be the difficult part.
Yeah, making sure that you're able to get into those positions, using your specials to ensure you can get into them, always so important. And we are seeing double crab coming out of Crystal Coral here with those dualies and that splash, and killer whale coming out from that gal. And we are seeing a carbon coming out, which can play around the ledges of this map so well.
Yeah, you know, I'm kind of surprised to see the Carbon Deco pick coming out here. That was not something that I had anticipated in Ink Black's arsenal, but, you know, very exciting nonetheless. And then always welcome to see, you know, crab, but coming out of the dualies just makes it feel a little bit fresh.
Yeah, the dualies definitely are an interesting pick, taking advantage of that section bombing crab to try and get some space. Able to have that really high maneuverability, as we are seeing the E-leader here locking down this mid area, making sure that their teammates will have space to get back in, enabling them to keep everybody up just a little bit better and a little bit longer.
And early on, a little bit of just a stalemate in mid, as neither team really making any sort of big pushes here. Although Wyatt's going to be forced to jump out there, getting cornered. Was just not going to do you any good. So this could give Crystal Coral an opportunity now to slowly start inching forward, get a little bit more of this map control here, which is exactly what they're doing. And now hopefully trying to just start converging in on these Ink Black players and start getting a couple picks.
Yeah, specials coming out there a bit early from Crystal Coral. You don't really want to have to use them to get back into mid. You'd much rather use them to secure the push once you're further in. As we are seeing that Ink Zuka coming out trying to defend here on the side of Ink Black. Going to be looking to get this flank off. Doesn't seem like they'll be able to quite yet, but the triple strike coming out allows them to take out two. And this should be a chance to push here for Ink Black.
Yeah, and look at Wyatt's ready to go on this far left flank, and it looked like a member of Crystal Coral directed their attention that direction, and Wyatt with a nice jump in as well. Give him the misdirect and jump to the other side of the map to get the score. 51 points remaining is where Ink Black is going to have to settle for now, but a great push and excellent coordination.
Yeah, an interesting thing here about Ink Black's comp is that doubles Trizuka. Not a special that we've been seeing a ton of, but definitely can be very effective against crabs. Has really great object damage, and if you aim it correctly, it can easily take out the top of the crab, allowing you to just one-shot them rather than having to do all that extra work. As we are seeing Crystal Coral starting to be able to make a push here, taking advantage of those sub-weapons that they have, managing to get the clam, and not going to be able to get a ton of follow-up probably, since they just have that crab and not many clams.
Yeah, and with two members down on either side, Crystal Coral, they could try to keep this push going if they can just get a clam in, but no, that basket's gonna close up, and they're gonna have to start to back off now as well. So 71 remaining is not a bad push. That actually gets you within striking distance now of trying to take this lead. Should you find another opportunity, and Wyatt with the double once again, and a wipeout on the side of Crystal Coral. This is gonna be a big push from Ink Black in response.
Yeah, Ink Black has a huge opportunity here and is getting close. It doesn't really have any specials online, but it doesn't matter when you have this many clams that you can try and get in as quickly as possible. We are going to see the Carbon have to back off there. Not many clams going to make it in, as the Carbon is forced to back off, building that power. And that is not going to be a huge push out of them after all. They just didn't have the clams to immediately follow it up in the specials to secure it.
Yeah, you know, I honestly was anticipating a much bigger push out of Ink Black there, but it just seemed like the Crystal Coral members got back into the game so quickly, and that's all to their credit to be able to shut down that push. I think getting away with a one power clan push in that situation, that's really your best case scenario, and Crystal Coral managed to perfect that defensive effort.
Yeah, now we only have about a minute left in the game, as we are seeing Crystal Coral kind of needing to start getting a bit of a move on here. Triple strike coming out from Ink Black, allowing them to start moving in again, forcing Crystal Coral all the way back onto their plat, which is really not where they want to be with only 50 seconds left in this game. And this will be another push here out of Ink Black.
Yeah, there's the one power clam trying to get the second one in. Yes, they will. 16 points remaining, and there's a little bit of follow-up on top of it, but no, that is a delayed wipe. So 16 points remaining is all Ink Black will get in this game, as Crystal Coral will now have 30 seconds to find a response, and it's going to be Mini with the double. So Wow, an excellent response there by Ink Black. Despite going all down, they were ready on the defensive end, and they got a great shutdown there to complicate things for Crystal Coral in these closing 15 seconds.
Yeah, Minnie doing a great job there of knowing to just wait out where they were, knowing that they were in a safe spot, even if there was some paint around them, that they could just wait to pop out and do what Carbon Rollers do best and get a surprise double, really forcing Crystal Coral to have to be on the back foot as they are trying to find this last push, but they can't get the clams. And they do have that pity at the ready, but they don't have enough follow-up to get all the way to 16, and I can't see many clams on the map here. And it seems like Ink Black will just be able to hold this mid area, and they won't need to really do too much to secure this game.
Yeah, and there's a couple of members trying to flank here, but it's just not enough time as Ink Black will hold off Crystal Coral to take game number 2 and really the set.
Yeah, really great gameplay out of both teams there still. Crystal Coral is still putting up a great fight. They're still trying to find their ways in. Just that double from the Carbon shut down their last really strong chance at a push.
I mean, Ink Black just had so many big plays from pretty much everybody in that game. I mean, especially if we look at that first push, Wyatt able to get a huge double on the far left side to set up the flank, and that forced the members of Crystal Coral to say, hey, you know, we have a flank going on, we need to direct our attention that way, and that caused that created the perfect misdirection, which allowed their teammates to come in and get the score, and then Wyatt on top of it building up their own power clam to jump in and completely throw off the Crystal Coral members to get things going for Ink Black. A phenomenal first play, and Minnie towards the end there with a huge double with that Carbon Deco to just secure things for their team, put the bow on top. Just a very well executed game from start to finish for Ink Black. And now we are going to direct ourselves towards game number 3. Splat Zone's Mako Mart, a good opportunity for Crystal Coral to at least get one game here in this set to help themselves into tiebreaker standings.
Yeah, getting those tiebreaker standings is always so helpful to make sure that you get into the bracket that you want to get into in low ink. I would also maybe expect to see the Carbon coming back out on this map with how many incredible ledges there are to play around and how much damage you can do. I would not be surprised if somebody has a machine in their back pocket to see it come out here. It has been a great machine map since S2, and it would not be a shock to see one come out, although I don't believe any of these players do. It also should be a very strong map for those Inkzukas that we were seeing coming out of Ink Black there, allowing them to really just play around those ledges so nicely.
Yeah, you know, it would be pretty interesting to see that Carbon Deco come out for, you know, those ledges as well. So, you know, it's just something that's going to have to be, my apologies. That's something that you're going to have to watch out for, you know, out of both of these teams is those weapons that could watch those ledges. And if you're able to kind of get those players positioned right there, to watch anybody that might drop, that's going to help your team so much to start to possibly lock this one out. This isn't truly, you know, lockout in the way that, you know, Inkblot Art Academy might be, but nonetheless, you could still make it very difficult for the other team to get back in.
Yeah, and we are seeing chargers coming out from both sides here. That Carbon switching over to it on the side of Ink Black. And we are seeing a 52 come out, which should do a lot of pressure here on this map where the alleyways are so narrow. Tetra already going down, but like we were talking about earlier, Tetra doesn't so much care when they do.
Yeah, most certainly. You know, you're there to kind of create some havoc, and that's exactly what they managed to do early on, as it allowed Crystal Coral to get first control of the zone. However, very quickly, Ink Black in control and taking control of the lead. So a very back and forth scrappy match to get things going in this opening minute.
Yeah, very back and forth, very scrappy. Lots of little skirmishes breaking out as we are watching this Crab Tank applying a lot of pressure to that right stack area. The stacks are so important to control in this map, and making sure you have them can enable you to hold spaces for so much longer, especially with a weapon like those E-leaders coming out. The wall here from the 52 gal could be very helpful in ensuring that you don't immediately get sniped.
70 points remaining for Ink Black, but this zone is going to stall as they do go 2 down, so Crystal Coral will get back control here, and they don't have much penalty to work with, so they're going to very quickly get some more points on the board, possibly going to take this lead back. And I mean, this is just a true, back and forth game between these two, exchanging leads, but it seems like Crystal Coral now in a bit of a good position to try to hold this zone out for just a little bit longer.
Yeah, Crystal Coral's been doing a really great job knowing that they kind of have 2 weapons playing a skirmish role on their team. So the Splash and E-Leader have been doing a great job stabilizing while the Tetra and 52 are just kind of out there picking fights, stalling things out.
This zone has been neutral for like a solid 15-20 seconds now, and it's still gonna stay there as finally Ink Black will get control of this zone. Wyatt starting to move up just a bit, gonna opt to take on this right stack, but no, you can't just sit there with an E-Leader looking right at you. So Laced is now gonna be able to move up, help paint this zone, and a couple of specials coming online from Ink Black to try to neutralize this zone quickly, but you need to get those numbers back first in order to flip the zone and hold on to it. Crystal Coral gonna be in control here, and with 2 down, this should be a nice push from them.
Yeah, Crystal Coral's been doing a way better job this game of making sure that they're staying up at critical times and just keeping that paint up. Both leaders have gone down, and they're really pushing this right alley here, as the Tetra's gonna just be able to move in, causing havoc and destruction like we were talking about. Having to deal with that Torpedo and Wavebreaker, 2 things that the Tetras do have a hard time with. C Junior is a rough weapon for Tetras to have to go against, so I've been surprised to see them sticking with it this whole time.
Yeah, definitely can be difficult at times, but they've been doing really well to just kind of create that pressure and make it very difficult for Ink Black to know where they're being hit from. It's coming from all directions now. But alas, Ink Black in control of the zone, but very quickly Crystal Coral is able to flip this one back. Wow, I mean, these 2 teams just continue to go toe-to-toe here, exchange blow for blow. I mean, it's just complete chaos at this stage.
Yeah, Crystal Coral doing a really great job there of managing to get a pincher off there on that player. Tetra and Splash doing a great job there working together. Able to really maintain this left block control, forcing Ink Black to have to play a little more creatively. Great picks there out of Totostar as they are able to start trying to get back into the zone using those triple strikes.
Yeah, I mean, that was a huge double out of Totostar, and that's going to make it a lot easier for their team to get in now on the zone, get control, and to make that a 3rd pick out of Totostar. They're looking for more, getting a little bit eager to just hold this right stack and get anybody that might come their way. So a huge play there to open things up for Ink Black, and they're going to be looking for the lead here.
They are, and it seems like they're going to be able to get it with the Crab not being able to quite do enough. But no, I was wrong, as they are going to be able to recap here with 30 seconds left in the game. That is a lot of penalty points being put onto Ink Black, and Crystal Coral just needs to focus on getting up those specials and maintaining space. They don't want to overextend into the enemy space. They just want to make sure they stay alive and keep painting.
Oh, what a clutch stop there by Crystal Coral. And now Ink Black has to scramble here with 20 seconds to go. But you can't get too antsy. You just need to put some trust in your teammates here. You can't let your numbers go down. And now we see a 2v2 situation. Nova then going to make a move towards this zone. Hopefully trying to neutralize this with 9 ticks left for Crystal Coral. Able to help get 1 pick there. They're going to start trading that Wavebreaker and now find themselves an overtime opportunity to possibly take the lead.
Bit of an early triple strike coming out there, as we're seeing them all trying to get in. E-Leader looking for picks. Reef Slider coming out, neutraling the zone. Not going to be able to get a pick off of it, though, as the Tetra goes down. Crab coming out here, able to apply a lot of pressure, but are they going to be able to paint the zone? No, it is just the Splash, and it looks like Ink Black will be able to take this. The Splash is the only one up, and they do not have an easy way into the zone, nor can they really provide jumps. Tetra also looking to drop in here. 3 ticks left, and that is going to be game to Ink Black.
Wow, what a come from behind there from Ink Black to secure this game in overtime. I mean, Crystal Coral, I think they were just too little too late on that last ditch effort there. You know, the Tetras had rolled right into the zone and they were about to neutralize it right when the lead was exchanging. So given just a couple more seconds there, you know, we could have had an entirely different result. But alas, Ink Black comes from behind here. Congrats to them for pulling off the victory and completing the 3-0 sweep. Wow, what a set, Nox.
Yeah, really incredible set there. Really close games out of all three of them, even though Crystal Coral does go down 0-3. Ink Black managing to take round 3 of Low Ink.
I mean, just a phenomenal few rounds that we've been able to commentate here today, Nox. I'm very much satisfied with the sets that we got today.
Yes, absolutely.
But alas, that is going to conclude our time here at Low Ink for January 2023. Nox, let's go ahead and plug ourselves here. Where can the people of our chat find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at NoxRaven42. And where can they find you?
You can go ahead and find me on Twitter at DRF_Splatoon and on Twitch, TritonDRF. Also over at the CCA doing collegiate stuff, especially with teams like Ink Black. So that is going to do it for both of us here. You have 2 more fantastic commentators coming up to bring you home through these last 3 rounds of our Swiss stage. You do not want to miss it. More Low Ink coming your way.
And we are back with Low Ink Swiss Round 4. I am Echo, joined by Quark, and I'm really excited to see this. This is the first Low Ink since the new patch has come out, 2.1 version of Splatoon 3, and I am really enjoying the new buffs and changes to weapons that have been made here. What are your thoughts, Quark?
I'm interested to see what these two teams are going to be bringing out, and the two teams we have today for this fourth round of Swiss are going to be Inkling Daycare versus parentheses, not Clickbait, close parentheses, since I have to read the parentheses, otherwise you wouldn't know I'm saying parentheses. But it looks like not Clickbait is some players who haven't played in a couple of years, at least competitively looking at their Battlefire results. We've got someone with like, they played BNS way back when, now they're coming back, and I'm interested to see kind of how they're gonna have, if they'll have a bit of a different take on the new meta, just because they've clearly been somewhat veteran players.
Fair enough. I think that there are definitely a lot of ways to take the current selection of weapons. There are sort of tried and true things like Tenatech, or just V-Shot, since it also got a special point buff. But there are also weapons that are much more modern with like Splatoon Stamper or even Nautilus, since it got a recent buff. Things that have been used somewhat in prior patches, but especially with Crab Tank, we're seeing a lot more desire for these very damaging specials with Tri-Strike, with Booyah Bomb, and just main weapons that can also shred Crab Tank. So that would be Splatonas, Nautilus, and things of that sort. So we're going to be starting off on Tower Eeltail. And one big thing here is just making sure that you have control of the bridge.
I do expect to see at least one junior or a V-roller just because, or something else with the big bubbler, because everyone likes just being able to slap the big bubbler down, get a cheese, and we've got Ink Rush coming out on that side. Wasn't really expecting that. It's good to see. We've got the Vanilla Slosher coming out, so that Tri-Strike buff should come in handy for the side of not Clickbait. And they got the junior as well, which I think that's gonna be a good comp to be able to push the tower and also to keep anyone off of it, because you've got both Killer Whale and the Tripling Strike.
Yeah, there's definitely the pain advantage on not Clickbait, but with the junior down, they're not going to have all that much pain, as they are 3 down though. Inkling Daycare just having this Hydra last one alive, having to back up a little bit and just get respawns, staying past here for specials. But Whale coming out here, it's going to be a lot of pressure coming out from not Clickbait just to try to get through this second checkpoint.
Yeah, and doesn't really look like not Clickbait has a great, no, rather, Inkling Daycare has a great position here, because they kind of ran at tower one by one. That's not really going to get them much, especially because of how spread out they were and how little paint they had. Now the big bulbers coming out, the Hydra's trying to do something, but they're being forced back by the E-Leader. The Hydra they haven't really been able to find the angles, but they will finally find an angle on that. They're looking like they're going to stop at the third checkpoint with the help of the Killer Whale. But even so, that was an excellent push by not Clickbait for the first minute of the game, down to 29. With a lot of checkpoints that Inkling Daycare is going to get through, and they're going to need their specials for this too, I think, because otherwise they're just going to get outranged by the leader, and there's the leader again, and 2 Booyah Bombs are coming out, a bit prematurely if anything.
Yeah, that rush going down is really unfortunate. They were so close to Killer Whale right there. They do have another Booyah coming in from the machine, but they don't have any specials, and with the paint output of Forge, of Machine, of Hydra, it's not going to be as much as something like a Custom Junior, which can get out a Wavebreaker in like 10 seconds. We're going to be seeing a little more time here before they're able to get specials. A lot of picks coming out from not Clickbait, realizing, okay, they've used Booyah, we're going to push in here and try to get control. We don't even need to use our specials just yet. The bubbler only coming out as these respawns are coming in from Inkling Daycare. Just trying to keep as much pressure on as possible. This Wavebreaker coming out from the leader. And even though Tower is staying in this position, this is still very advantageous for not Clickbait. They just need to keep the opponents in this position until they try to drop prematurely, make a mistake, or the Tri-Strikes can pick out the Hydra.
Yeah, the Hydra looks like they've been down to the E-Leader. And like you said, the paint is going so far in the advantage, if not Clickbait, that it's been really difficult for Inkling Daycare to move around, which is just making their defense a lot harder. But now they're starting to get paint down. They've got Booyah Bombs coming down, which are at least going to slow this down. But if they're burning all their specials here, it's going to be a while before they really get to properly push, because the Killer Whale is going to go off there. And they do have a third Booyah ready, And oh, that's a shark coming out, getting the machine. That's a really good move by that gal there to just throw their backline to disarray. Ooh, and ow, Booyah Bomb. But that still is 2 down on the side of Inkling Daycare. They're not going to be counter pushing just yet.
Hey, that Booyah, instead of being able to trade space in mid, it had to be used on that gal, so the Hydra wouldn't go down to it. So that's a win on not Clickbait. They have a lot more space in mid now. Hale just trying to hold this space down as Hydra, staying out of touch from the leader. Trying to get bridge here, but it is a little risky. It's still back up because that leader's presence is so oppressive on this map. Whale coming out here from the gal. The Slosher has Tri-Strike at the ready. This might be a push once again. We're seeing a Booyah Bomb coming out from Inkling Daycare, but with the Slosher still just holding the special, they're just waiting for them to use these resources and not create that much space in mid, so then they can just go in with their own specials.
Yeah, the Hydra would be having a much better time now if they weren't fighting either, and there's the Eve-Leader doing Eve-Leader things. But the Hydra hasn't really been able to take any of the power positions for backlines on this map. They've been stuck sort of peeking around a wall on the low ground, trying to find something. That's not really that helpful when you need Hydra to be doing area control and space suppression, but they're just gonna get sniped by the Eve-Leader, and we've just got a bit of a back and forth fight in mid, Tri-Strike going off, Booyah Bomb going off, Killer Whale going off, so this could be enough specials, but the Hydra's gonna go down again, and the Brush is gonna get caught on their own. It seems like the members of Inkling Daycare are having a bit of a hard time just supporting each other, because they're getting caught out in a lot of just either random bombs or just getting pinched in 2v1s. And
I think the main difference maker here is really just that Junior, that gal. They have 2 shooters that paint pretty well, and the Slosher is not something to really scoff at with its paint output, but with Rush, it doesn't really want to paint the map that much. It wants to just use its mobility. Hydra can't paint that much, especially with the leader's oppression, and the Forge is one of the least painting shooters out there. So there's a lot more space that not Clickbait is able to create there, but the Brush still going to be trying to come out here, but still just having to go into the opponent's ink here. They can just wait it out and just space out the opponent until they rush into them and then punish them because they don't have as much paint control. That's going to be a Tri-Check on tower as Not Clickbait takes the first game.
yes, and I'm kind of wondering if Inkling Daycare's strategy there was they had triple Booyah Bomb, they had mid to long range weapons with those Booyah Bombs. If their strategy was just to sort of keep distance and pick off the members of Not Clickbait one by one, but they needed probably, if they were going to do that, they needed a little more range to, not range, but paint to do it, or to not have to fight the E-Leader, because the E-Leader just oppressed the backline too much, and then once that Hydra is out of play, it's very easy for the Junior and the Gao to close the distance and rush down the other members of the team.
Right, and with that leader's very oppressive range, you essentially just have to stay out of it or stay in cover, and with Machine or Forge Pro, you don't have as much paint under you as you do with like a splatter shot, and because of that, there's much more limited chances for you to be able to get into mid to try to take a lot of control to try to pressure the opponent. So this leader was able to just sit back and create a lot of space in mid, so then their teammates could all poke very aggressively at this Forge, at this Machine, and create a lot more pushes through that.
Yes, and looks like we're headed on to Rainmaker on Museum. Any thoughts?
Rainmaker Museum is definitely an interesting one. There's one main way to push here that is going through the right elbow, as seen by the red arrow, but there's also the area through mid, though that's generally pretty unsafe. We're going to be seeing the leader or Hydra watching that area, or even something like a just mid to short range shooter can just stay near the first checkpoint and shoot at anyone who tries to make that initial jump. But that top platform is still going to be very pivotal, not because it rotates, of course, but there are many fights that can occur there with limited high ground, and I think especially for weapons like the Machine, like the Forge Pro, having that bit of extra range you get from having fall-off shots can be really helpful here. Also, this map seems to be a bit more... It has a lot more cover in mid because of the ledges than ELTail, which is very flat overall, though the leader might not be as oppressive here if they choose to bring it again.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping we see some adjustment from Inkling Daycare. And that is the kind of adjustment I want to see. They've got the custom junior out, so that's going to be a counter to the leader that's not coming out. But at least they're going to have a bit more paint on the ground for that brush to make something happen, more chip. So it is going to make the brush's life easier. Though on the side of not Clickbait, we got a really interesting move here. They've got the Tetras coming out, which, I mean, mobility, skirmishing, that's good. And probably more surprising, they've got a Nova, which clearly means they've got Nova and they've got Brush. They really want a lot of killer whales and they want a lot of paint. And I think that's a good strategy because the Hydra's gonna have a hard time moving, and if they're on defense, those killer whales are just going to completely and at least slow down the Rainmaker, if not just kill them because you threw 2 killer whales at them.
Yeah, and the whales are already creating a lot of spaces. They're already able to get first checkpoint in the first 40 seconds of the game. Once again, getting 2 down on the side of Inkling Daycare. Not going to waste any time here. Moveface just going to grab Rainmaker and say, I'm going to take this, get a lot more range pressure here instead of the C Junior previously. Getting a really solid push to 35 as finally the Hydra is set up on this top right side. 2 are down on the side of Clickbait, but they just take it again to a 30 push.
Yeah, it's an interesting strategy, and it seems to be working of just having 2 weapons to put paint down, put whale down, and have 2 skirmishy weapons that can still kill well enough. So it's just been very difficult for the other team to move the brush going in for the kill there, but the Slosher's going to shut them down, and it looks like not Clickbait is going to try to get another push, or maybe they're just content to sit in mid for now. They've got the pressure going on, but they're going to have to slow down a bit to fall back, get the Rainmaker ready. Looks like they had to outlast at least especially the Booyah Bomb's going to go off. I'm expecting to see Wavebreaker come down soon, kind of depending on how antsy the junior player gets. Brush is getting a nice pick. 3v3 situation in the field now, and it's still in the favor of not Clickbait because they're just getting so much paint, so many bombs onto the ledge. It's being very difficult for Inkling Daycare to really move out. It looks like they might even have to burn another special to get through, and they will pop that Booyah Bomb. The Killer Whale's gonna scatter them yet again, and it's just really good map control coming out from not Clickbait.
Yeah, the name of the game here for not Clickbait is this sort of displacement. With the whales, with the brush, with the Tetras, you're able to try to take the opponent on from the flanks and try to catch them off guard like this Brush is doing. Not going to be able to do so all that safely. This reslider coming out from the Tetra, able to pick it off before going down himself. This is a bloodbath in mid. 3v2 situation here as another from not Clickbait respawns. Just the Hydra has to back up here, give the opponent a little bit more space. IDSauce trying to go up here on the ledge with Brush, trying to get a pick on the Rainmaker, but it just backs up just a bit too far for the Brush to be able to get that pick. Picked off by the Tetras as it just tries to go up top to create a lot more space here, a lot more displacement from the behind.
After they find the picks here, they could go for a KO, but the Hydra will see the Tetra coming. Tetra will be back quick, but it didn't create the opening needed, so it's going to be more of a stalemate on this platform instead of the potential triple the Tetra could have gotten if the members of Daycare were a little less careful. But got another situation, another stalemate situation mid, which is Inkling Daycare at least is back into mid now. They're trying to get further, but I think they're going to be. They will get the pick though. That's good. Means they want to burn as much special just to get through, and that's the Booyah Bomb coming out. Eris doesn't die. Well, that was really close. And they're going to try to hold this off angle, trying to keep Daycare from being able to walk up onto that left side, onto their left, but Killer Whale's going to come out, and it looks like Inkling Daycare has at least gotten themselves enough space to pick up the Rainmaker, and they will go for the short route, but the Killer Whales are coming out and try strike, and that's going to slow the Rainmaker push a lot and give not Clickbait time to recover.
Yeah, the main thing here is the Nova having to be pushed back here. In order to get this Junior up, to get as much control as you want, to get this Forge into place, you need to have this Nova down, displaced by Whales, and try to get space in mid. But with these Tetras just going to be coming down into mid, once again, it's going to be very difficult for Inkling Daycare to try to get a bit more mid consolidated for this push. This Tetra is still behind them as the Hydra's trying to set up on their snipe, but Hydra might be a little bit surprised here to see that, okay, they are looking at the Tetra, thankfully, but it is still picking a lot of pressure and eyes. This Torpedo coming out from the Junior, not going to be able to looking at zone, and yeah, it's going to create a lot more space for it, not Clickbait.
It'll be very difficult for Inkling Daycare to get back in the game now. They have the Hydra jump out. They're still stuck on their plat. They've got a Booyah Bomb. Looks like they're popping it. Eris is going to go down though, so maybe not. I might have spoken too soon. And now Sauce is going in for one. They won't find any though. That's really unfortunate. That was really close. If they'd been able to find those picks, they would have had a decent chance to burst. The Booyah Bomb is going to go down. That's going to stall. Not Clickbait a bit, but no, the Not Clickbait will find the pick, and that is going to be the set win, but not the end of the set for Not Clickbait.
Yeah, the tri-strikes coming out and defense from Not Clickbait was extremely well timed, and they made sure that they wouldn't go down more than 1 or 2 members at any given time if they didn't have full control of mid just yet. And I think that was the main difference maker there. Inkling Daycare was occasionally a bit too caught off guard by the Tetras, by this brush, and were left with only their Hydra still on the map. And I think the main thing is just being able to consolidate a lot of paint control for the Forge to be able to get picks as it's set up. Especially with the Tetra going around, the Brush and Junior can't win in a 1v1 against something with that much mobility, that much range. So it really relies, this comp relies on the pro to be able to get those picks when it's set up, to get BL bombs at good times to displace the enemy so that they can capitalize on it.
And we're going to play Blixing bot, which I think we'll see similar comms coming out from both teams, since both of those teams seems a bit more comfortable with what they were playing here. Probably just because of the extra mobility and all the killer whales, and that's going to be a useful thing on a map like this, where it's painfully hard to get it. So at least between Splatoon 2 and 3, they turned the step to get up on the right side approach to the clown basket into a ramp that is a little less painful.
Right. But I think one of the main things that's still needed for a solid push here is to have control of left stack, mainly because if you don't have control of that, then the opponent can stay sort of where their slick is, that you can, the uninkable area, you can walk up on left to get onto their platform. And if they just stay there on defense, then they can shoot from there and from top right on their respawn and create a sort of crossfire. So without having a lot of pressure on the left side of plat from left stack, it can be very difficult to get enough space here to move in. So I'm thinking especially the Hydra, just getting it onto one of the stacks for a lot of control will be the win condition for Inkling Daycare. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, if the leader comes back out, it's going to be a lot harder to do. It still would be the win condition, but it's just going to be a lot harder to achieve. We've got an Explosher coming out, actually, instead of the Hydra, which I think is an interesting pick, and not necessarily a bad one, because they're going to be able to get shots over the stacks and just put more pressure down onto the opposing plot. Same thing with the bow coming out from Eris.
Yeah, we're seeing an immediate flank from the left side on this brush, but just going to be consolidating a bit more of left stack. I really like the pick of Tri-Stringer here, though, and X-Blosher, as they recognize that something like Hydra, something like E-Leader won't be able to look behind the stacks, so these are weapons that are prime for hitting behind those huge areas of cover that are so pivotal for control on this map. We see the Tri-Stringer on Not Clickbait, immediately setting up on left side, trying to get space, but this rain's going to force him out.
I also find the Octobrush pick on the side of Not Clickbait interesting, though it makes sense to me because being able to take out the Zipcaster and just get the weird flanks above and behind your opponents on this map is really helpful, especially if you can't get them just by swinging up the wall or what have you. And yet we got the Zipcaster coming out, they're going to look for the height, but the problem with Zipcaster is you're really, really loud and people will hear you coming and they will see you, and when you're in a position like that, you just have no cover.
Yeah, Not Clickbait still going to be forced back into their plat because of that. The rush is respawn now, getting a pick on the Sloshing and the X-Blow. This is going to be a lot of space they're able to get in mid, left stack and right stack, both sort of their control with paint. Hamby trying to push up on left stack, and up front on left side, just holding this position, waiting for them to overextend. Here's the Sloshing trying to move up, but not realizing that Hamby is right there waiting for them. Really nice wait.
That was excellent timing there. They didn't move up to the clams until the machine dropped down. They had to try, and they had to support the tri-strike to let them get that in safely. So they really need to throw another clam, and they will get 2 more, but the machine just puts on too much pressure for Not Clickbait to really be able to get a huge score off that. But they did get points on the board, and considering how this is 2 minutes in, we've only got a few points on the board, and this map can be so stalematy. It's definitely worth getting any points you can in, especially with all the map control that Not Clickbait has been able to keep.
Also so important that in a push on Inkling that you do not wipe because of just such a stalemate. If you wipe, then it can give the opponent an opportunity to go in, but here Not Clickbait has their brush go in, trading 2 on the bat. It's not quite seen until it was too late. Just the Ink Brush and the Forge left remaining. Forge going to be going down, just the brush on flat. Their teammates are on respawn, but this is still like a huge amount of pressure. Trying to use Whale to mitigate this, but with that bubble, with that Tri-Strike, it's going to be difficult. Going down to Hammy once again, as they have plans and are passing them to get another push in.
The Whale was a good thing to mitigate the pressure of the Tri-Strike, but then the brush ended up going down to a bomb anyway, so it didn't really serve them terribly well, but then they've got another power clam. They're jumping in. Really good play there by Hammy to get in, get out, get a power clam, and then jump back in to score it, getting them down to 41. We've got the Zipcaster running around their opponent's base, which is what you want to be doing with Zipcaster. You want to cause as much chaos as possible. They have time to respawn. Hammy's got another. That's their 3rd power clam they've built. It'll last like 30 seconds. I'm very impressed. Or maybe that might have been a pity cam. I'm not sure. But either way, they won't be able to get the 3rd clam in. But still, they've got a lot of pressure. They've kept map control. They've got. After a few more seconds, they'll be able to go for a score again if they so choose.
Now, Inkling Daycare still hasn't made a push yet, so that was still Hammy just creating a 3rd power clam there. The Whale coming out once again from Inkling Daycare, trying to get space on left side, trying to have the Brush do the same thing that the Octos did, but they know that playstyle, they're ready to punish it. Moveface not letting that Brush go in, just hitting it twice, and Slosher really able to deal with the vertical difference on the bats. Inkling Daycare still needs to try to find some space in mid, but with this Tri-Strike, it's going to be difficult. Their Forge and Expo go down, so this might be another push from Not Clickbait with this bubble. It's going to be very difficult to get in, but that Booyah really well-timed, getting a pick as they thought they were safe in that bubble.
Yes, we got the Brush running around. Looks like they need one more clam to get the score. I don't think they're going to be able to sneak one of these clams in. But a push to 3 is very good, and I don't really think Inkling Daycare has anywhere to come back from this. They'd have to get so far, so fast. I mean, they definitely could. I'm not saying it's impossible. But it's going to be very difficult, and they're going to have to hold the basket open for so long and get so many clams. Just time is working against them in every sense right now.
Right. Really need to get control of mid, consolidate it, and make sure this right flank doesn't happen once again. That Brush still behind them. This Zipcast coming out, trying to displace the Expo once again. Going to be able to get a pick and a trade on the machine. That is so unfortunate for Inkling Daycare. They're only 2 alive. Just the Expo and Forge. There is not enough paint on the map. They cannot get into mid with this. And able to get a pick on the Slosher, but not before trading that power clam, revealing the position. Still not much time. They need to go in with the power clam or overtime will finish. And still not much time. Tri-Finger just holding a lot of a defensive spot here. They do go down, but they're just waiting on their plat. They don't have to move up. They can just wait for that time to slowly take down. And that's going to be game 3, going to Not Clickbait.
Seemed like as for the rest of the games, Not Clickbait was just a little more coordinated, and they were a lot better at just sort of keeping map control and being able to move aggressively. Mostly because of the map control and their coordination. We saw some really good special coordination in that last match with the Tri-Strikes coming out in the bubble.
Yeah, the special coordination and specifically being able to create space and teammates moving up with the specials that their own teammates create. It's so pivotal, especially on a map like Clam's Inkblot, where if you don't have specials to move in, especially multiple, it's going to be so difficult to try to get onto their plat and create enough space to get a power clam in. So. Yeah.
And I think with that, we're going to be taking a short break. Please stay tuned for round 4.
We will see you for that then.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Low Ink January 2023. It's our 5th round of Swiss. I'm Cork, and I'm joined here by Echo.
Hello. Once again, we're going to be seeing a bunch of lower level teams try to duke it out in the Swiss stage, get as many wins as they can to hopefully be in the alpha bracket of tomorrow's top cut double eliminations in stream. But even if they don't quite make alpha bracket, there's still beta and gamma brackets. So there's still a lot of chances to make yourself known and to get really high quality matches against people closer to your skill level. This time we're going to be seeing WIPEOUT versus Ikaryoku, so this will be interesting.
I would like to shout out both teams for putting a bunch of wonderful cat pictures in chat, and they are still putting cat pictures in Battlefight chat, and it is very nice. And I don't know if the cats are going to be able to appear on stream as they asked, but yes, we appreciate your cats. Thank you guys.
These putting cats for the TO's sake, it helps them so much. I would very much recommend anytime a TO is in your chat, just send a cat picture. They will appreciate it. Or at the very least, it'll just get a laugh in the sap chat. But yeah, we're going to be seeing game 1 will be Zones on Brinewater. This is certainly a map, but I really enjoy it. It's just a lot of difficulty trying to get into the lockout position on this map because you can just drop down into the middle of the stage essentially from spawn. It's one of the smallest maps in the game, but because of that, it also makes it so that having retakes and the back and forth of zone to try to get mid is all that much more important.
Right, I think we're going to see a lot of triple ink streak even before the buff. I'd be saying that just because having that space control is really helpful for mid, and at least in terms of a line of control, Tri-Strike can get the most, because the Booyah Bomb can control a little more overall area, I think, but not quite as much linear space. And wow, well, there's the 2 splashes of Junior and a Machine, which is still pretty meta. On the other side, we got a bit more niches coming out with the Wiper, the Range Blaster, and the Vanilla Mini, which double hammer is an interesting pick.
Yeah, I definitely think that with that Wiper, they're going to be trying to create as much space as possible, trying to get those hammers onto the crabs so that they won't be able to create as much linear space, but already going to be getting a lot of space here, but 2 down on the side of WIPEOUT. This is going to be an initial take for Ikaryoku. Both of these crabs coming out, this linear space Cork was talking about coming to play with the crab tank. It has the range of a Hydra, so that's going to be a huge amount of space. Really nice pick onto the splash from Ikaryoku. Once again, WIPEOUT just having to charge their stamps, charge the Wavebreaker, and maybe a crab of their own to try to retake this.
You have 2 stamps, and you're fighting against a comp like this that has 2 crabs, they've got the Booyah. You're gonna be kind of hard-pressed for entry tools, because stamp is more of a thing. You don't really use it as just a thing to get in, because you'll just get outflanked and picked off. Use it as a thing once you've got some control. But as we're seeing, Ikaryoku is been holding control almost the entire match, and showing that the double splash machine and something else meta continues to be very strong, because splash still continues to be a very strong weapon, even with a bit of a nerf to the crab tank, if I recall. Was it the crab tank or the special charge requirement?
It was this crab tank. It went from 9 seconds to 8 seconds of a duration. But right. I think that even though there are many more counters available to Splash, the crab tank being instantly shredded and the rider also being picked off by a single ink strike shot, for example, it's still a very formidable special because there's so few main weapons that can deal with it, and so few things that even have the range to contest it. So you really just have to wait it out, and if you're trying to go in on a map as condensed and pigeonholey as Brinewater, it's going to be very difficult to try to ignore that crab or push in against it. So game 1's going to be going to Ikaryoku, but next map might be a bit more in WIPEOUT's favor. It's Tower Makamart, which I think stamps can do a lot more work under the ledges. The Splatana will have a lot of fun there, and yeah. What are your thoughts, Court?
The Stamper might be able to better counter the crabs here just because it will be able to get around them and the like. So I'm not quite sure how if the stamp will necessarily be able to kill the crabs fast enough or get close enough. But they've got a better shot if they keep their own comp. So WIPEOUT might want to switch up a bit because they don't really have anything that counters with the crab. And as much as that's not you maybe don't want to just be picking weapons to counter. If you're getting constantly attacked by crabs, you might want something with a triple strike or a booyah bomb just to be able to not crumble against the crabs, since most of the main weapons here are going to struggle, with maybe the exception of the Wiper with its object damage multipliers.
Right, there are many more avenues to flank around with Makamar. You're seeing on either side of the stacks here, there are just those long alleys. If a crab is trying to be set up on a stack, you can just climb up one of those from an off angle and try to get a direct on it from the behind. One main thing here is because it's Clamblitz, one big thing is having prolonged control of the opponent's stack to get in. And so Crab Tank will be huge for getting that control. We're seeing a big change in the comp here. WIPEOUT now going with the T-Tech with that Tri-Strike, a Machine, and Try just to get a lot more control on these stacks. And then just a Tetra for that hold forward displacement that you really want in a comp.
Got crabs already coming in line, Machine's looking for something, and there goes the crab. Looking for something, they will find something, they're going to avoid the ink strikes as well, and they're going to look to shred the Booyah Bomb, and they did not shred the Booyah Bomb. They got a lot of pressure there, and that's going to be a 3v2 situation in the favor of Ikaryoku. Tetris is trying to find something here, but they're not quite going to be able to, and Ikaryoku will step their push, getting back the lead, even though they didn't really have much support, and I'm happy to see a Tri-Slasher here as well, just because Tri-Slasher is funny on Makamart, though even the silliness of Tri-Slasher and Makamart is still having trouble just dealing with all the chip that comes out of this comp too, because you've got 2 burst bombs, you've got crab main guns and secondaries, and you've got machine.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of tools on both comps here to try to get a lot more space here. Trying to get in with that Booyah Bomb, not quite going to be able to find much. The T-Tech trading with the machine. 3v3 situation here. Trying to go in and getting 1, getting 2 on the right side. Just going to be going and finishing this flank as its teammates collapse in a mid. That is 3 down to Try, putting in so much work here. Mirai just the last one alive on Ikaryoku, trying to shark behind tower, able to pick someone off, but the Tetra might be able to find this pick as his range is higher, but with the bubble, might not be able to find that, and trying to use Tri-Strike to finish the bubble off, but not recognizing, yeah, that Junior can just move up into you. That's really unfortunate, as now only the Tetris is alive. That is a full wipeout, not quite able to get the first checkpoint.
Ikaryoku is looking to push for the second checkpoint. They've got the bombs onto the plat. Tetris is going to run in, but they're probably going to get picked off pretty easily here. Or not, well, they will go down, but they will at least get one of the splashes on Ikaryoku, but a 2v1 situation isn't great either. Got a bit of a machine fight here going on. Tetsu trying to find something. Won't be able to find anything. Tetris is already back looking for the tower, won't find it. Booyah Bomb coming down, 2v2 situation right now. And 1v2, WIPEOUT will manage to clean this up. They will get a wipeout, and now they've got a chance to counter push. They've got the Inkjet ready. They'll probably have more specials very soon. The Ink Strike about to come online. This is a very good opportunity for them, but they're going to have to get their special timings right. And 3v3, even with Tetris down, I think they'll be okay, but it's going to be difficult. The Inkjet is going to be really pivotal here if they can get the shots, but they're kind of just going to be forced to turn around and engage someone and not really get much value out of it.
Ooh, I think the main thing there was just no one was on tower while that Inkjet was in effect, so it's still having to burn through so much of this checkpoint, so there's a lot more time that's left before they can get in. But with this Tri-Strike, with this Reef Slider, with the Tetra on right side, they might be able to stall enough time, but with this Crab Tank, they were able to get a pick on the Tetra. Sloshy's also down. Ikaryoku having this defense, getting 3 down, last alive on WIPEOUT side, not able to get in. They are going to be wiped out, as Ikaryoku is just going to be going back in, consolidating mid. So much pain from both of these splashes and this Junior, just getting so much control on either stack, so tower can move once again in their favor.
Tri-Slasher moving up here, but that's a really risky position to take. They will get the double, actually, even though they go down. That was difficult because the splash's range could have easily picked them off, but Ikaryoku is still going to be able to push the splashes coming back. Tetris going down the side of WIPEOUT, and Ikaryoku is looking to lead just to have a little more safety. If they break that third checkpoint, they're going to be in a lot better position because then they'll have a checkpoint broken the other team. So the Ancient's going to come in and get the machine down. And now this is another opportunity for WIPEOUT to start looking for the counter push. And they've got the specials to do it as well, but though kind of questioning putting both the specials out so quickly. The Tri-Strike didn't really look like it did anything, and they're gonna need the space later on, I think.
It's still a huge position. They only need 6 more points, so they don't need to push that far. Just holding tower and toe now. So close to this chili, but just the T-Tech left. They're going to take tower, and unfortunately, not quite going to be able to get it. Tower slowly moving back as they get that pick. Tetra also going down. So that's going to be Ikaryoku's very clutch defense there at holding it just at 39. 1 more point than what WIPEOUT has. Only 20 seconds left, so they need to charge specials here and try to get a pick, trying to get that pivotal point, but not quite able to find that pick with the crab on right side. Trying to flank once again, but Kid just seeing that and punishing them going up without recognizing how many people were actually on that stack to support that crab. 2 down again on the side of WIPEOUT. This might be their chance, and with the WIPEOUT, that's going to be game 2 going to Ikaryoku.
Yeah, and that will be Ikaryoku taking the set, but there still is a game 3 to play for a bit more of standing, and it definitely looked like WIPEOUT was able to put up a better fight. This time, I'm interested to see if the third match will go in their favor, since this was extremely close.
I think the momentum is definitely shifting to the favor of WIPEOUT here. I really like the adjustment here of having a lot more paint control, a lot more aggression with the Troy and Machine. But yeah, we'll just have to see how game 3 goes. It's going to be Rainmaker Sturgeon, so I definitely think that a lot of the slosher presence that we've been seeing, the sloshing machine on both sides, the tri-slosher, it's going to be very strong here. I think also Tri-Strike is so pivotal here to get control of the opponent's snipe, of their spinner, and maybe get a push into right side.
And I am also interested in what you said about momentum. If WIPEOUT has a bad early game, the momentum is probably going to shift very far back to Ikaryoku, because I know sometimes if you're like, yes, that game is close, we're back in this, and then you just have a rough opening, your mental goes to, no way we can do this anymore. That last game was close, but we're not going to get back in this, and we're already 2 down anyway.
Yeah, I think the opening is also just so important on Rainmaker, just because getting the pop initially gives you so much pain in mid, but even after that, if you're able to get 2 down on the opponent, then you can just pretty much immediately make a push, as you've had a lot of spawn paint, a lot of time to get specials, and you don't quite have that if you're just pushing out from the opponent being in your spawn. You have to repaint mid as they're respawning and coming in with their own specials. But in the opening specifically, everyone's coming in with that, so if you're able to get even just 1 pick, that can be pivotal in order to get a pick. Though the Tri-Slosher sloshing, they have the tools to be able to get a pick here with a Tetra even, so we might see a comp change, but I think that both teams can succeed with what they've been bringing, honestly.
Yeah, I definitely want to see Tri-Slosher again, not only because of the geometry of the map, but because Mist is such a good tool on this map, especially in preventing any left pushes, because you can't make the jump if there's just Mist sitting on you. And really in Rainmaker in general, Mist is a good tool, I find, though I'm definitely biased for having...
I definitely agree that Mist can just slow the Rainmaker to a crawl. We're going to be seeing a Stamper instead of the Tetra. I actually really like this pick, just because it's still able to create a large amount of displacement with that Zipcaster. With the quick respawn, it's still going to be that aggressive role, but has just a little bit more range to be able to deal with the sloshing machines, chip damage with those splashes, and it's also a crab counter. So we're going to be seeing it go up on the left side immediately, but that crab pick on spinner, they are going to be able to get 2 as the flank's coming in. It just in time for the Zipcaster, they were able to get most of WIPEOUT's team splatted. So Ikaryoku not in an awful spot here, just going to take Rainmaker immediately as the Splatana is going back from Zipcaster, not able to get to mid in time, as this Rainmaker might be able to get the first checkpoint here.
Yeah, the Splatana's putting a lot of work in, but the rest of the team is kind of not been able to keep up. The Splatana hasn't been getting the picks at the right time to let the rest of the team do anything. They've been getting picks when the rest of their team is already out of position or just dead, and the shot's gonna find the Rainmaker. The 34 is a really big push on this map, especially with the checkpoints, and WIPEOUT has to hold here. Ikaryoku is down a member. They might have a jump coming in, but I don't think they're going to be able to get the immediate counter. Rainmaker's getting flung to the far left, which is definitely... I'm not sure where they're going... Oh, they jumped off, which is... They probably just wanted to let it reset. Taking a death there means they're just going to lose more special meter, and that's exactly what they need right now. Mirai here is looking for a fight, going to back off of it since they're outranged, and Cam's on that Stamper is going to look for something again, but they might die this time. Or, no, they're gonna die. Yep, they're gonna get jump camped, which is unfortunate. They've been doing a great job causing a lot of chaos in their opponent's ranks, but the rest of the team's having trouble capitalizing off of it.
It's a 53 right now, and Ink's finally coming out from the Tri-Slasher, trying to find something here, able to get the splash. That's actually a really huge pick here, and they're able to get very close to checkpoint, might be able to get it with that Splatana support. Machine not even going to be going down here, as they're just going to try to pop Rainmaker once again to get this push in. They don't have all that much space to go, and 2 down, Kent is going to try to get a bit of space here, but it's just a 1v1 now, and going down with that Crab is going to be so unfortunate for the defense here. Crab is so important for just holding a space for a large amount of time. 47 now, trying to take Rainmaker, but just a bit too early there. Not quite having the picks, but 1v2 situation here. Machine trying to go in, but might not be able to find anything.
Stamper's looking for something. Machines. They're both trying to peek this corner and think it's like the fizzy bombs are going to force them to step out of position, and now they're in danger. And yeah, they will go down. They won't put pivotal in the shots. So it's going to be 2 down again on the side of WIPEOUT with the Ikaryoku looking to get back into mid. The fizzy bomb kill is going to come in clutch, and there's going to be a lot of opening. They're going to get the bomb, the jump pick with the bomb as well, and now they've got another chance to counter push if they like, which they should, because the Rainmaker's on your opponent's side, it's harder for them to get it back onto your side and take the lead. So they're all kind of clustered on left. They might get wrapped from the right. So it doesn't look like WIPEOUT really took advantage of that. Booyah Bomb's going to come down advantage of the Crab. The Crab is just going to get targeted by 2 or maybe 3 specials there. So WIPEOUT will still go 2 down, which is a little rough for them.
Yeah, putting the Rainmaker down there is really unfortunate for WIPEOUT, as now they have to get it out of there, and it's so difficult to, if Ikaryoku is just able to position themselves so that that Rainmaker shield never gets popped. It's so difficult to climb up those ledges because it's very narrow with how you can get out of bottom mid. And they're just going to keep that Rainmaker their color and not actually pop it, so that it takes so much more time for WIPEOUT to try to get it. One tries to drop down, T-Tech trying to find something on WIPEOUT, not going to be able to get that much. They drop down without pain. It's really unfortunate. On left side, going to be trying to go once again. Tana going down to another member of Ikaryoku. They're doing a really good job of just staying back in their own ink and waiting for the opponent to try to get a bit panicked here. They see it's only 47 seconds left. They're getting a little bit frazzled, trying to get something going here, but Ikaryoku is just holding back, holding this pin control, and stalling the Rainmaker for time.
Come on. Yeah, they're just gonna sit it in there, so even when they die. I never thought of using the Rainmaker to shoot under there. Well, actually, I never thought of shooting through that gap before, probably because I don't play weapons long enough range to use it, but very silly thing they're doing here. I mean, just a little rude, but it's definitely gonna work, because there's no way that WIPEOUT is getting it out of Fight Club and past 47 right now. I say
you played a win. It's respectable.
Yeah, for sure.
But they are going to be able to get a pick as WIPEOUT tries to get Rainmaker once again. Just holding so much mid control here. That game 3 is going to go to Ikaryoku 3-0. That's one of the main things of Rainmaker that is often overlooked. Stalling with the Rainmaker and trying to see if you can get it picked off in a place that might not be good for your team to push, but is extremely difficult for the opponent to push into you. We've seen this a lot in Splat 2 on Inkblood Art Academy. There's a space on the left side, but also Rainmaker Surgeon, there is that bottom mid that we just saw, and it's a really good strategy.
Yeah, and there's also always the time-honored tradition of running the Rainmaker back to your own spawn, just to be sure, which, I mean, you play to win, like you said, but I haven't seen the Fight Club thing before, and it is nice to see people being aware of the geometry of the map and remembering that they can stall the Rainmaker to keep a unlucky overtime push from taking the game from them.
Yeah, it's also just pretty uncommon to see that at, I guess, low ink level. There's generally like a feeling of we always need to keep pushing when we have the advantage, but sometimes it's just better to recognize, hey, we have mid, we have the lead. It's at like 34, so we can just hold mid here, stay calm, charge specials, and not take too many risks, because the main thing with pushing in is, yes, it is high reward, but it's also high risk. You're more likely to get wiped out by the opponent, and that gives them a huge opportunity to start trying to snowball you. So if you can put Raidmaker in a spot where they have to take so much of their time to get it out of that spot, and make sure that they just try to stagger into you, then you can get a much more defensive game plan. So I'm really looking forward to see where Ikaryoku goes in the rest of this tournament.
There you go. I also am. Anyway, we are going to again be going on a brief break and coming back for round 6, so please stay tuned.
This will be the last match of Swiss, but yeah, we will see many more matches coming very soon.
Zymer's in such a good position. Oh my god!
You know, the hard part here, you have no claims. You have to have somebody jump to you, and that's exactly what they do. First of all, I love how this basket opened. They used a power claim with the ink back and able to support. Is this going to be enough? Are they going to get this in? No, they're not.
Oh,
Flingzo gonna pick up Gumball. That is a very good pick there. Chris just trying to keep Pain up here. Knows that there's a lot of range in the way. Azula here as well, just trying to help out Chris as the best of possible. Able to get Sparks on the one. And there's lots of picks going down here. We're going, there's the collat. There's the collat that was going to happen on
first checkpoint. And that tower's taken a long time getting back to mid. Still, a lot of specials being built up. All 4 specials online for the Sanguine Seas team as we see crabs getting used as well. And that Booyah Bomb's not going to be absorbed by the vacuum. Instead, it's the crab on the other side that sacrifices itself to take out the Booyah Bomb.
A little bit of follow-up on top of it, but no, that is a delayed wipe. So 16 points remaining is all Ink Black will get in this game, as Crystal Coil will now have 30 seconds to find a response, and it's going to be Mini with the double. So, wow, an excellent response there by Ink Black, despite going all down. They were ready on the defensive end.
Leader and the Flingza are, so it ends up keeping them down alone. They're getting picked off for that, which is causing the stagger by dive and is allowing BC to just come in with all of this team force that they've had for the past 2 games.
Oh, and the play back.
The moves!
Squidward moves, getting it to 11. This is a scary motion, but it's really hard to not go. Bro, what? Wow. Gumball is making moves here. I'm not sure. Obviously, unfortunately, in this game, we can't see this guy's KA, but at the end of the day, it's got to be high this round. Obviously, we still got a minute 40 to go here, but,
Whoa! There was a whole...
Hello and welcome back to Low Ink January 2023 with our 6th and final round of Swiss, which will be our last match for today. And for this last match, we will be having TentaShrimp Cocktails versus Orca Ballestra. I'm Court, I'm joined here by Echo, and hi Echo. There we go.
Hi, sorry about that. I've played a few games against Orca Ballestra. I'm really excited to see how they'll go against TentaShrimp Cocktails. Game 1 will be Clams on Museum, so there are a lot of different comps that can work here, so I think this will be a good gauge for both of these teams, which weapons they want to use and which comps, how they want to mobilize their team to really get in. Because the main thing with Clam Blitz is how do you hold neutral for getting your clams, and then how do you push into the opponent's base to finally get in some points into their clam basket. So there are a lot of different ways to do that, a lot of ways to set your team up, and it's not as restricting as something like Zone's Flounder, which might have something like, well, do you really want to bring your E-leader there since there's so many walls? It can be a very particular map for some teams to work around. But something like Clams Museum has decent cover, so really frontline and aggressive comps can do really well, but also more passive control-oriented can do just as well. So I'm really excited to see what we'll see here.
Yeah. Good to see TentaShrimp Cocktails again. I remember streaming this team a while ago, and they also had a sister team called TentaShrimp Tacos, so there was the awkward moment of finding out on stream that a taco cocktail is a real thing that exists.
Yeah, that's interesting, but hopefully we'll be able to fry some rice with these shrimp cocktails.
You showing me a shrimp fried this rice?
No, fried that rice, but it also seems like we're going to be... Yeah, not and a Tetra. That's really interesting. Definitely going to be going for a lot more pick heavy on the side of Orca Ballestra, while TentaShrimp Cocktails just seems to be going for the very painty 3-shooter, very just solid, special-oriented game plan here. Either they're having to jump out, though, because this aggression is just overwhelming them with the Junior going down, not finally going down as well, but there is a flank!
It already broke it. Yeah, it looks like TentaShrimp Cocktails had a really wide opening and just wrapped around Orca Ballestra, and then after that, they were able to very easily get into the basket. Also, sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but my brain is just like, I should pronounce this that way, like as in Orca Ballestra. I don't actually know if it's supposed to be pronounced like English or Spanish, so I apologize in advance to the team if I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah, we're seeing an initial counter push coming out from the Orcas. Tetra's just having to jump out here, not wanting to risk all that special, but oh, the Tetras go down. That was the E there. My apologies. Not going to be trying to keep what space they have on the plat with the Tetras pushing up here. The Whale trying to chip both of them as the Crab tries to finish them off. Able to get a pick here. 3v3 on both sides. Shot going down means a lot less aggression on the side of Orca. They do have an Inkstorm, but might just try to conserve it. They are 2 down, so they just have to wait out this push.
The aggression we're seeing from both teams is really impressive, especially TentaShrimp Cocktails. Getting 2 out through the bubble, the bomb finally taking them down. Not the Tetra, the Charger getting a 3rd. And even though they didn't get the other power clam in, they put a lot of damage down, a lot of paint down, and we're able to get 3 picks there. So that's going to be difficult for Orca to recover from, and now... and there goes the snipe, and that's the Charger down again. So now, TentaShrimp Cocktails does have the man advantage, and they're looking like they will be extended the lead, but we'll take it 3v3 though that Reslider's gonna go off, which is gonna be a waste of the special because the member was already dead. And same with that Zuka as well. They got the picks anyway, but they burnt the specials, and they will get the jump in those. They missed. I'm not sure if they missed or was the wall there, but either way, TentaShrimp Cocktails is doing an excellent job holding on right now.
They got both of the power plants in there, not able to create one at the most opportune time. Able to get 2 power plants, and that is a lead conversion to the Orcas as they finally go down here. And TentaShrimp Cocktails just tries to reconsolidate mid here just to get more control and wait for these clams to spawn so they can get a counter push. They do have their Pitted Clam at the ready as well, while one of the teammates made it fall earlier. So there is a lot of control they have here. 3 specials, their down did go down, but not without a trade. So the leader on left side is trying to create a bit more space for the team to push in, but it might be a little aggressive here as their shot is still down. They're just having to take mid here. So the leader understandably jumps out here. And now we're seeing a bubble come out. This might be the push on the side of TentaShrimp Cocktails.
TentaShrimp Cocktails, it's gonna be 2v1. They're looking like they're gonna get the trade though, which is some value, but they didn't get manage to get the power climb in. They have time to come back from this for sure, but they don't have an amazing amount of time, and they're gonna probably want to push in the next minute, so the overtime timer isn't taking down their face. And right now, Orca is holding mid. They've got the man advantage. They've got special advantage as well. They've got a chance for a good push here. They need to find the opening. I think that's going to be the Zuka coming out, that's going to be 2 down on TentaShrimp Cocktails. That is going to be the opening for Orca, and Reslider coming in as well. And I think just get 1 or 2 more picks here and hold this space for long enough so they get it. They're going to lose the knot. They will get the dunk. They'll miss the dunk, which is unfortunate. Now the leader's trying to put the front line. It's looking like this push is going to fizzle out, potentially.
Now they give the clam in, and they do have Zuka, so if they're able to get a pick here, they get one with the Zuka. They're trying to get the clam in as soon as possible. They get 3 with the Zuka, and they're coming so many more clams. There is a push to 13. Very solid.
They lined that up perfectly, and they peeked around the corner to use the cover. That was great.
They don't have clams, so they don't have time, and that's going to be a knockout on the side of Orca Ballestra game 1.
Yeah, that was interesting. We saw the extremely powerful opening from TentaShrimp Cocktails, and then Orca Ballestra just said, "Alright, we're coming back. You can't. It's fine that we lost the opening. We're just going to completely stomp you for the rest of the match." So both sides were throwing some pretty big punches, and honestly, that was a really good game a really fun game to watch because of how dynamic it was between both sides.
I think both teams definitely have a chance here. There were so many times where mid just turned to the other team's favor. Both of them were able to create some solid pushes in. It's just that Orca Ballestra got that 3 down at such a crucial moment with the Inksuga, and that created a gigantic opening for them to just get the power clam they initially missed, get the other clams in, and get a knockout eventually. I think one thing that we might see here on Zone's Flounder is the pressure was relentless from the Tetras. Even after they got to 13, the Tetra was still in the face of TentaShrimp Cocktails, not letting them have a chance to breathe and get set up. So we might be seeing something similar here on Zone's Flounder, where the Tetra just wants to go in and displace them, maybe even get a trade. Because if the Tetra gets a trade, it has quick respawn, it has Reef Slider, none of which, like, if you lose Reef Slider, that's not nearly as bad as the opponent losing Crab. That can be a push starter. And so in advantage state, we might still see this very relentless pick-heavy playstyle coming out from Orca Ballestra. So TentaShrimp Cocktails, the more control-oriented comps that they ran for game 1, that Splashmatic, Gal, very health-based with Crab Tank, with Splash Wall. If they decide to go with that again, it will be even more crucial for them to just set up space incrementally and make sure they don't get flanked like they did last time.
Yes, and let's just see how both teams are going to approach this map since it's newer. It's really weird. It's really, really painful to get locked out on, and I'm going to be interested especially to see how they deal with the lockouts, because hard to break in. That's a call, and I like seeing Dynamo here, because you get the Dynamo up on the height, you're going to be able to control so much space, and they've got the Vanilla Blaster, which I know Range Blaster is the probably most favorite blaster out right now. But V Blaster, it's got the bubble, it's got the bomb, it's going to be able to do a lot of work for them, especially with the rest of the comp providing plenty of paint and all the ledges that it will be able to abuse here. And right now, going to chase down the Charger, which is a great move.
Yeah, this trench control that Jade initially had, it's going to be so valuable, just trying to get in here. Going to be picked off, but not before getting that pick on the Charger. Unfortunate bubble use there, but the Whale is going to consolidate mid for the side of Orca Ballestra. They have so much aggression in their comp, relying on the Dynamo to get practically one zone all by itself. Really pressuring this wall. 2 of them are trying to climb up it, but with that Dynamo there, it's going to be really hard for them to get in. Blaster once again trying to get a flank, getting a pick on the Charger once again. There are going to be flanks, and that is going to be So much displacement on the side of TentaShrimp Cocktails. They have to focus on this blast, but also the ones coming in from up front and that Dynamo creating so much space. They are 2 down, and this is a push to 30 so far.
Yeah, the tactical is definitely helping because the aggression is amplified by the tactical usage, letting them push faster and just come right back if you die, even if the opponent has respawn Punisher, which definitely, I think, my favorite buff of the patch is the Tacticooler will always make you respawn super fast. And nice pick for the Dynamo there. And the bomb pick's gonna come in, it's gonna stall the zone. 2v1, and this will be barely, I think, the recap for TentaShrimp. But no, they won't quickly get, no, they will get it in time, okay. So that almost swung back. Now the Blaster's gonna camp this ledge using the bubble to keep from getting picked off from above. And generally just try to cause a nuisance for TentaShrimp Cactus right now while the rest of the team puts some paint down. Still looking for, haven't quite been able to find anything. The Dynamo is gonna go down, the Rain's gonna come out. It's very much anyone's zone right now, so the specials are in the favor of TentaShrimp Cocktails. They've got the crab out, they've got the numbers up high, but they are going to lose one in 3v3 situations. Really hard to follow though. It looks like TentaShrimp is going to come out on top as long as they can pick this knot off.
Yeah, that leader getting 2 really crucial picks there. It's Wavebreaker creating so much displacement with that crab tank, forcing them into situations where the leader can have that off angle to pick them off when they're not expecting it. And now that leader's just set up here, waiting for them to move up, getting a really clean pick on the Dynamo. That weapon is so slow to rev up for its initial roll. Once again, 3 down on the side of Orca Ballestra. This is a turnaround for TentaShrimp Cocktails. They do not have much time on the side of Orcas to try to get in. They're not all that close to Rain. They tried to get a pick here, but are just picked off themselves. Once again, the splash going in, trying to get a pick, getting a trade. Still crucial here, getting a retake. Only the junior and leader, they don't have the aggression here. And that's going to be game 2 going to TentaShrimp Cocktails.
We have a game 3 on our hands.
Yeah, that was a turnaround.
That was excellent. Once they had control, they really just held it. They had a bit more pain. They did a really good job dealing with the Blaster and keeping it from being able to really abuse the ledges, which this is... Compared to like blasters and say something like Splatoon 2 Humpback, Flounder is kind of difficult to do the ledge camping on some of the areas just because the walls are so high with a regular blaster you can't really get the entire blaster shot over the wall.
Right, I think also on Flounder Heights, we saw one bubble being used, but the unfortunate thing about using it in Trench is Bubble is more vulnerable at the very top of it, and so by using it in Trench, the very top is very visible even from their zones, so they didn't really have to take that much of a risk to just shoot the top of the bubble and destroy it very quickly. It also pretty much showed the entire opposing team, hey, I'm right here as a blaster. I don't want to be seen. So I think that on Tower Undertow, Blaster will definitely have a lot more use here, because Tower Bubble has a lot more control. It helps the tower move forward without as much aggression on the tower itself, so that's very valuable. There's so many more ledges that the opponent can stay under, especially getting your 2nd and 3rd checkpoint, that the Blaster can abuse. So I think that
is going to be crucial here for sure.
Yeah. But it's still anyone's game. It's been 1-1, and both teams got a really good hold in Zone's Flounder. It's just the retake worked for TentaShrimp Cocktails, and Orca Ballestra just wasn't able to get all the pieces in place. So, new game. This is game 3. One more to end it off. Let's start.
Yep. We got Hydra and Swift. Okay. I mean, definitely an interesting thing. If the Swiffer can play aggro and hit their shots, those kind of Squiffers are really powerful, but on the other hand, it's going to be difficult to enable the Squiffer, especially with a leader serving to hard counter the Hydra and really counter the Squiffer as well. It's going to be 2 down going on the side of TentaShrimp Cocktails. Orca looking to get really aggressive here, and the Squiffer's going to take the leader down with an excellent jump shot. Looking for one more.
Tower,
well, that's, yeah, and
they were looking for a pick,
go
but they didn't quite hit tower. Not going to take any more time here. Not wasting anything. The Tetra going to be punishing it though, just taking tower when still some opponents on the field. Leader trying to get a pick on left side, just holding a lot of control here. The Hydra on the other side. This is sort of just a stalemate between the two. Leader trying to find the pick on the Hydra, not quite finding it. Crab going to be trading a lot of space here, but the Junior going down is really unfortunate. Hydra on the other side, and there goes the Squiffer as well, so it's a 3v2 situation. This might be anyone's game still.
Yeah, and looks like Orca is going to be able to get back in mid. They've got the man advantage. They've got to get the leader displaced. They don't really have anything online just yet, because Tri-Strike is still a bit away. They've got Reslider, and looks like Reslider will get cancelled, and this is going to be TentaShrimp getting sniped, but they got the bubble down before they got sniped, so they can at least push the tower a bit forward. 2v2 situation. Hydra's going to have to be careful peeking. They will get the peek before the leader can respond. They will get the jump camp as well. The leader not quite being able to hit their shots, and the Hydra being really damaging in this situation. Now, Orca's Tetra is going to be able to start moving up. They're going to start... If anything, they might be able to go into space, but they're going to go for the Shark instead. They're going to pop Reslider to just not die, get themselves a little paint to the ground, and it's going to be tower moving to second checkpoint. First checkpoint while this is going on, and the Squiffer playing really active, but they gotta get the bubble down.
Yeah, they might just go to tower, get that bubble down. The Whale's just finishing up, so there's a lot more space on tower here. The Hydra plus Bubble is a formidable duo. 2 down on the side of TentaShrimp Cocktails. They need to get this Hydra off of tower, not set up. Focusing on the flank, they are all 4 up, so this is their chance, but not with that. H-Strike going to be picking off the leader. They still don't have much time, only the Junior remaining, as this is going into a knockout. The bubble coming out from the Junior, though, going to be able to get a pick here. As their teammates are respawning, so Tetra's finally able to get the Junior, but now still having to deal with 3. Teammate going down, Tetra trying to get a pick here, still not quite finding anything. This is a really clutch bubble from the Junior, stalling it just long enough for the teammates to come in.
I'd like to also point out earlier that I saw the Squiffer get an excellent pick on the enemy crowd tag to let them get this far, getting a jump shot, which is hard to do with a long-range charger, and with the Squiffer is even more impressive, and also, like you said, the Junior. That was a really clutch well. If they didn't have bubble, they just would have died. Though, TentaShrimp Cocktails has kept themselves alive. They didn't get KO'd, but they've got a minute and a half, a little more, to win this, and they've got a long way to go. So it's going to be difficult for them to win this, but they get their special timings right. If they just keep getting picks, if they get under the ledges, it's very doable. And they are starting the Tetra pick. The tower is in the possession of Orca, which is just going to be making it harder for TentaShrimp to get anywhere. And the leader is having trouble really finding anything. It seems they're getting forced to jump out. They're worried about getting rushed down. And
yeah, but
Orca just has all the mid control.
Yeah, with just so much displacement coming out from the side of Orcas, it's just creating a lot more space for this Hydra to try to set up. They really need to get their Eve leader on the side of TentaShrimp Cocktails set up so that the teammates can push in with the defense that the leader provides. Finally, the Hydra just respawning, so there is a little bit of time here, but with this crab coming out with their 2 down, it's not going to get that much value, forcing the ball up. Able to get a pick, though, on the T-Tag. That is the utility of Crab Tank, just being able to go in the ball form, having so much more health, or so much more defense in that form if someone tries to rush you from the backside. Whale coming out from the Gal, trying to capitalize on this, but once again, a special is coming out on TentaShrimp's when they're 2 down. They're not able to get that much off of this, unfortunately.
Does have a bit of momentum here. They've got the map control. They're really map control rapidly, and they're not really being able to move up quick enough to support their team at the tower. The Squiffer's doing a great job with the area control here. The Blue Bomb's going to come out. We just got to TentaShrimp Cocktails. They're going to lose the Gal. The Hydra's on tower now. They try and go for something, but the Dancer on tower. Orca ends up on top and takes the set in a very close 2-1 set.
Yeah, even though this game was very convincing with Orca's push, there was still so much back and forth after their push ended, just trying to control mid, and I think that the set was still anyone's game, so both of these teams I'm really looking forward to seeing in day 2. Orca's taking the set mostly just their aggression was outpacing TentaShrimp Cocktails, not quite able to set up their leader for a lot of it. And on Clams Museum just not able to deal with the hyper-aggression of the Nautilus and the Tetradoles.
Looking at the standings right now, TentaShrimp Cocktails might make Alpha. It's going to be close. They're in 11th right now, but the last match hasn't been reported yet. As for... And we do have one other thing we need to tell you about before we head out, which is there is going to be a LAN occurring in Northeast Florida / South Georgia on February 18th in Jacksonville, Florida. It's a single-day event, which the doors will open at 6 p.m. for socializing. The Splatoon event starts at 7. Tickets are on sale now with pizza, drink, and other food provided. And come support your local Splatoon community to meet some gamers. For more details on more questions, join the Squids on Ice Discord server, and tickets are on sale now.
I really like that so many LANs are becoming more prevalent in the community. They're such a good opportunity to just meet people and play the game in a situation that's not just a voice call in Discord with your teammates. You're able to speak with opponents on a much more personal level, and they're just really fun to go to.
Speak with opponents on a much personal level. I know you didn't mean this, but it really sounds like speak with your opponents and tell them how much you hate them, but face to face. Anyway, that, I believe, does it all for
say
us.
That. I think most teams will say that for Twitter. But,
fair.
Yeah, that will be day 1. Swiss is now finished, so we can't wait to see all of you. Yep,
sorry.
Can't wait to see... Oh, you're good, you're good. Can't wait to see you on day 2 for Double Elim, but until then, forecast for my socials, so Twitter, story echo _, Twitch, story _ echo. One of them was taken when I was making it. That's why the underscores are in different places. Cork, how about you? How can we find you?
Yeah, you can find me at StrangeCorked on Twitter. That's really it. I retweet art and such. And don't forget that Echo does coach people, so definitely check him out for that.
If you're a low ink team or even above that level, I've helped out a lot of teams that are in low ink, so I was hoping to see one of them, but I think all of them have done pretty well, so I'm proud of them.
And with that, we are going to be stepping away, and we hope to see you all back for day 2.